Yes, sir! Unfazed by the double keeper!
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me once again on Salt of the Streets. My name is Donovan. My oh my, has it been quite some time since I've been here, and I am very, very happy to be back. I am also extremely fucking nervous, but that's, I think, pretty obvious. So, I mean, let's just get into it. Obviously, it's been quite some time, right? I made a lot of promises, said a lot of things. I've been watching a lot of the videos that I made the last few sessions. I watched it over the last week, just kind of get a recap, get some of my predictions, some things that we talked about. And we're back. We're back. I made a lot of promises. I said a lot of things that, we have some different content coming. We're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing whatever. We're doing what I want. As always, we're doing what I want. This is what we have going on here. Thank you for joining me. Everybody who's here, everybody who's going to watch this. This is what I'm officially calling Season 2 of Salt of the Streets, and I couldn't be happier to be back. We have a lot of things going on this evening. We have a lot of different topics that we're going to discuss. We have some politics that we're going to discuss, of course. It wouldn't be Salt of the Streets, it wouldn't be me if we didn't talk some politics. We are going to talk a little bit about some different social media things that I have had going on. We're going to talk about some observations that I have had in the world. We're going to talk some things that I've been watching. We have all kinds of different stuff. I think what I have, we're talking media, magic, meat, metabolic activity, and organization. Those are the big topics for this evening. Let's just do like a little bit of housekeeping, I guess, right? What are we doing here? Where have I been? What's been going on? Where did I go? We talked a little bit about this before I took my step away, and I was having, to be completely honest, I was having a lot of issues with inspiration, with creativity. I was having a lot of difficulty driving myself to do the show. I wasn't feeling inspired. I wasn't feeling like this is even what I was supposed to be doing, and so I just was struggling in a lot of ways to want to be here. And I ended up one day essentially having an anxiety attack upstairs when Colin was either at his house or on his way here, excuse me, just telling him like I don't want to do this. I don't have a thing to say. I don't feel compelled to be on this show, to be live streamed, because I feel like I'm just doing it to just go through the motions. We had been doing the show for 4 or 5 years at that point, collectively as a team, and it had gone through many different iterations and phases and ideas and wonderful things and stressful things, and it just came to the point where, not just, it came to the point where we were still trying to grow. We were trying to still just make it on this channel, and so we were just kind of trying out different stuff to make that work. And one of the things that we were doing was using AI tools to go through and make clips for us, right? We were taking different sections of the show. Colin was, because he's always done most of the background work for the show. The producerial work, I shouldn't even say background because he was here, was all in the front, but the producerial work for the show. So he was taking different portions of the show that we're doing, the 7, 6, 7, 8 hour live streams, right? That we were spending 40 hours or so preparing for, leading up to them. And we're taking these 8 hour live streams that we're doing and putting them into an AI model and just letting them chunk out 10 90-second clips that the robot thinks is going to do well on social media. And regardless of what anybody thinks, how silly it seems or anything like that, I think Sam Reed, we'll talk about it later, he said it best, right? Maybe. Well, hold on. This will work better if you guys can actually...
This might sound dumb, but I wanted it to like be art.
Okay, that was not really worth it for the payoff there, but the point being, this is art to me. I've always said a million times on the show that I'm not a super creative person. Colin has always fought me on that. My point really being, I'm not a painting person. I'm not like an artistic person in that way. I'm not a musical person. I'm not inclined in any of those ways, and so it's difficult for me to personally feel like I'm creative. This has always been my outlet for that. I just talking, and that seems silly. It feels silly when I say it. That's my art. That's how I express myself. That's how I do this. But that is truly how I go about it. And so it it was really, really difficult for me to take a piece of art that we were creating and watch it be run through a computer and spit out clips for us, and like to use that to try and put into another computer to fuel us forward to growth. that just really felt like it was taking the inspiration and the love and everything away from what I was doing. And so I just couldn't do that anymore. I didn't want to do it. And it took me a million years to get it really boring. It took me a million years to get around to it, to figure out what I want to do. And this is it. I came back to this. This is why I'm here. This is what I am inspired by, is this stream here, is talking to people and just trying to do what I think is best. And so I don't want to be too boring about this. I don't want to do too much housekeeping. I already feel like I've been going on too long. So we'll just jump into it. Things are going to be different. It's not going to be all politics like it was before. We are, of course, going to do that. And I have been saying every time, everybody that I've been discussing this new stream with, this new show with, like, it's going to be less politics. I don't want to do as many politics. We'll talk more about this stuff and this stuff. And I do my notes, and of course, it's over half politics. But this is, of course, again, who I am. So let's see. Let's just jump right into it, I guess. And let's talk about some of the stuff that has been going on. Politics since the election has been absolutely insane. I did some videos, and we'll pull those things up. I'll actually take the first clip here, and we're gonna, let's see, copy that. I gotta put it into my signal. I'm sorry, I should have been more prepared for this, obviously, but this is, again, you guys know who I am. And we're gonna paste it. Okay, so I did a couple of videos leading up to the election, and I was going to pull up a clip here and go over this video so that I could, like, pat myself on the back and be like, I went over this and I told you guys that Donald Trump was a piece of shit and that we shouldn't trust him and that everything was terrible. And when I went back over it, I found that I wasn't as right as I thought I was. I did say that, that the options we were being presented were just kind of a better alternative than what we currently had, which was Kamala Harris. But the amount of faith that I had in Donald Trump and in the administration, I think that we all had, was misled. I am taking, with the video clip, simultaneous pride and terror in the feeling that more and more people are coming around to this necessary kind of black pill moment that I feel is natural. It's a natural political phase in the life cycle. And what I mean by that is more and more people are seeing, I think, that you just can't be I'm sorry, I need just 1 second. Give me just 1 second. Okay, we're gonna go at this again. I'm gonna be completely transparent. I am overwhelmed with being here, so I need to reset a little bit. We're gonna start over. Okay, we're not gonna start completely over. I'm just gonna reset this sentence. I'm gonna restart at the beginning of this political point so that we can move on, because I am, like, crazy anxious. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling super nervous about this general moment. But I don't want to get into this too much. I just want to be transparent. I want to be open about what's going on so that it doesn't feel weird. I already feel weird. I'm here by myself. I've never been here by myself before. Colin has always been here when I've been doing the stream before. So I'm going through it. We're doing this. Let me start over. Before we talk about Donald Trump, I have been really, really enjoying.
You will hydrate,
Yep.
you will train, you will adjust to this desert, and you'll hydrate some more.
Crazy nervous. Crazy nervous. Okay, I've been talking to people since the election, right? I made some videos leading up to the election. There was one about the debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and then that almost immediately didn't matter because Kamala Harris was put in his place. I did another video about Kamala Harris and what it means that she was able to even be in this position and how dark this is in America. And this is the clip that we're going to talk about later, right? Since then, obviously the election turned out whatever, the way that I was hoping at that time. I was truly terrified of Kamala Harris taking office. I still do think that would have been a horrible thing, but we'll go over in this video clip, this may be, I wasn't as right as I thought I was. We're talking about Donald Trump and kind of what a savior we were going to be at that point. And if you go back and watch the videos, I was never, savior complex is the wrong way to put it, because I was never at the point where I was saying, this is it, this is how we're going to win, like this is the way to go. In this video, in this Kamala Harris video, I was saying they are not heroes. They are not going to bring this country back. They are currently better than the alternative that we have, which is Kamala Harris. And I still believe that it's absolutely true. We're better off now than we would be if Kamala Harris was in office. But we are not as well off as I think we all hoped that we would have been when we voted for Donald Trump, or said that we did, or thought about it, or considered it, or whatever position you were in, right? We got fucked, we got tricked, and we have to just be honest about that. I had a lot of high hopes. I really believed that was going to be a truly better alternative, and it was better, but it was not as good as we think that it was. So I've been having conversations with people since the election that have been kind of in that same ilk, that they're like, this was good, like it's kind of great, but now that we've got this fucking war that kind of happened between us and Iran, right? They're kind of like 12 days war. The shit's still going on in Ukraine, right? The market's still kind of, the markets are doing well, but like, I'm still really not making that much money. There was all this chaos around the big beautiful bill, all of this shit, right? It hasn't been hunky-dory like we were, I think, fooled into believing, right? And I'm going to say fooled because it was ludicrous for anyone to ever believe that it was going to be like easy. The first time Donald Trump was in office, it was chaos. We saw that not only on a cultural level, but actually in the Capitol. They weren't getting anything done. There was just gridlock the entire time because people were just fighting constantly, right? We're seeing the exact same thing going on here. There's been the Republicans have a slight majority in some of these houses. So they're able to make like a little bit of leeway, but we're still seeing a vast majority. We're still seeing a great amount of gridlock and lack of movement in the things that we care most about.
You will hydrate, you will train, you will adjust to this desert, and you'll hydrate some more.
You guys are going to hear that one a lot because the anxiety is giving me some dry mouth. I got a whole slew of drops that we're going to go over here tonight. These are just the ones you're going to hear the most frequently, I think. So I've had a lot of conversations with people, and the slight amount of hope that I've had is that some people don't seem, how is the best way for me to phrase this? The people that already gave up on the Democrats and were willing to either go for the Republicans or just give them a shot, they're not leaning back to the Democrats, right? They're not leaning back into the two-party system of, well, if this one didn't work, then maybe I need to go back to the other one. There seem to be more and more people that are leaning towards the idea that maybe the solution isn't within the two-party system or even politics at all, right? We might have to find a different way around this tyranny that we're claiming that we're seeing all this time, this level of subjugation that we're feeling all the time that I'm talking about, right? That I was certainly before I left the show. We're tyranny. They're fucking coming after us. I'm always saying that, right? Maybe politics isn't the answer. We said that here before we left. You can't vote your way out of this. It is impossible, I believe, at this point, for us to try and work within the system as it currently exists to try and save ourselves. It's just not going to happen. There is too much in our way to try and conquer that. The levers of power are too many and can be pulled by far too many people for us to ever, I believe, hope to achieve actual reformation of the government that will be in our favor. I did sit down here with Elijah and Colin, and I'm pretty sure that episode came out. If not, I'm going to have to go back because I know there is an unreleased SOS ID with Elijah. But we sat down with him and we had a conversation and we talked to Elijah, and I said to him that I believe that there was a way, potential for a pathway did exist for some lone rogue, sick-ass wolf figure to be elected president. And I just heard something drop. I just don't know what it was. Dog, some spices in a bag next to me. That's probably what it is. It's for later, just so you guys know. What was I saying? Can't work within the system to save ourselves, right? The levers of power are too many. It's just not going to happen. So I've had this discussion with a few people, and I, some of it's good, that some people are leaning into that. They believe that that is the case, and some people are not. And a good example of this is my boss, Dan. I was having a conversation with Dan. It was a while ago, so I don't remember exactly how we came to this point, but you know, it was just a real red versus blue conversation. Pretty sure it was right after the election. He's talking about the Soroses and, you know, these people, and you know, if we can just get these people in office. And I said to him, I just don't think that that like really matters. Like, I think it's too late. Most of the same stuff that I'm saying to you right now is what I'm saying to him. I just think that it's too late for that. I don't think there's a way to work in the system, and I think that it's kind of bullshit to be discussing politics in these terms. You know, it's just unrealistic. And his response to me is like, well, I think that's really sad. And I'll save you guys that time. And I just don't think that that's the case. I think that's a super based, personally, because I think I'm fucking based, but I think that that's just a very realistic way to be looking at politics at this point in time. We've been existing in this system for 200 fucking years now. Someone please explain to me a way that you're going to vote your way back to more freedom, that you're going to vote your way to less money in politics, you're going to vote your way into clarity within any form of budget anywhere. It's not going to happen, right? Saw the streets tired of streaming to zero. Let's, oh, thank you. Love that. I've not heard a legitimate theory or pathway forward through that. It's a continued conversation. Well, if we can vote here, we can win here. We can get these offices, we can get this passed, we can get this passed. I just don't believe that to be the case anymore. I don't think that that's the reality. This is what I was saying, that I did believe that there was a point where some lone wolf could come into office and could change this. And I think that, oh, man, I guess I do believe that that's still possible. But just in the last day or like 3 maybe, I've been so black-pilled on politics and the realities of Donald Trump versus what we hoped, that it's difficult for me to really carry that through on a thought level. I believe it. Something in my gut still tells me that that's possible. But again, the barriers that that person is going to have in front of them to try and actually get into office, in a position in the White House, to just make all these executive decisions and pull those things down. You know, if we take the assassination attempt on its face, or like what we believe to be its face, of Donald Trump, I should say, you know, they might just fucking kill whoever that person is if they're getting too close. Like, that might be the thing. There's a lot of different theories now that I'm hearing about the Donald Trump assassination in and of itself. I was watching a really interesting Jimmy Dore video yesterday, and he was interviewing somebody, and that guy doesn't believe that that's real. He believes that that was staged and that Donald Trump has been a plan from the beginning. And I think, you know, we'll talk about some of this Palantir stuff a little bit later. I think that that's like there's an argument to be made for that. I don't know if it's convincing, but there's an argument to be made, and that concerns me. And it's not the first time in the last 6 months that I have been intrigued, concerned, what have you, about the things that we are able to discuss in this current age, that I don't think is inherently bad, but not even allowed to discuss, because we should be allowed to discuss anything you want. But the things that we're willing to consider as possibilities is really pretty interesting, you know? So let's see here. The conversation with Dan. Trump will not save us. Let's go ahead and we'll pull this up. We'll pull up this clip here that we have. and we can watch our first. I have multiple angles. Boom, of our side view. So, oh, my computer did not like that I did that, but that's just what we're gonna have to go with. This is gonna humble me. This view is gonna humble me, guys. Okay, so side view. What am I pulling up here? Fucking this. Okay, the links. This video that we're gonna watch. And 128. Note to self. Thank you guys for watching me. Thank you guys for sticking with me, for bearing with me while I get my feet back under me for this stream. It's been crazy. I actually almost tanked the stream before we started earlier because I messed with a bunch of the permissions on my laptop and made it so that nothing could access my microphone, and then I couldn't figure out why none of my shit worked. So consider turning down video settings or using faster encoding preset. Hello, everyone. All right. My computer's slow, my internet's slow. I'm gonna have to figure out some quicker Wi-Fi. If I could get some of this shit to close. We are here for you, bro. Thank you, Colin. It's I haven't streamed in, you know, a very, very, very long time. So the streaming aspect is really quite different. I did a couple of videos and stuff that were a little easier for me to figure out. But let's see here. I can fuck with the stream settings. I don't really want to too much. We'll just let it do its thing. I don't really care. Okay. We'll just pull up the stuff that I actually want to. Sorry, thank you guys. We will, if we can, remember which way to go. Okay. We're going to the big screen. I have a TV in here now, guys. Watch this. Boom. Okay. We'll go to our correct timestamp. Just down here. Hopefully we have enough internet that this actually makes sense. We're going to go over some of these predictions that I have. That's actually what we're looking at. These are going to be the predictions. Trump will not save us. And I'll just read what I have here. I said this and I believed it but even then I was tricked. I have clips unreleased, I believe, of a conversation with Nils about the Trump assassination, what I thought it meant and what would happen. I told him I truly believe that Donald Trump cared about the country and truly cared about the people. We'll go back to that shot in a second. And I am not fully removed from that belief, but it is obvious to me that we have all been duped on how removed he actually is from the world of politics. We believed him to be an outsider, and that doesn't seem to be. He was able to be swayed into continued and increased involvement in foreign wars. He said he would exit. We have seen American citizens be arrested, threatened for criticizing Israel. And we're going to go, I got a fucking list of these things because we're going to watch this. What we're going to talk about here. Boom, I'm just moving. Boom, 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 cameras all over the place. So what we're going to be going over in this clip is the fears that I had of Kamala Harris, right? I was deeply, deeply afraid of Kamala Harris, like I said. I'm like, we're going to see fucking communism. Our money's going to be worth nothing. We're going to go over it. But we're also then going to talk about how much these things actually kind of relate to what we're existing in right now. So let's go back to the fucking article view. We are definitely going to hydrate because I'm very thirsty. I'm getting more comfortable now. I'm back to it. I still have to make sure that all this stuff is working. I set up OBS. I set up all my stream stuff. Hydrate, second that motion. John, what's up? Thank you again, everybody, for being here. I couldn't be more fucking thrilled to have you. Okay, I just got to make sure I got all my stuff set up. Let's go here. All right, let's watch this fancy clip together, huh? Oh, come back. There we are. Let's watch this. Maybe. Oh man, I just tricked myself. Oh man, that got me good. I had my mouse on my laptop and thought it was on the second screen. My goodness, let's go, guys. Dissonance that people are they're even if it's not just two, it's multiple competing ideals that people are happy to just let live in their head because they fucking hate Donald Trump so much, because they are so lost in the sauce of what people are telling them, what corporate media is for a second. Look at that. We're gonna talk about Sam Sulek later, so we're gonna talk about some bodies and stuff. But I just, for a second, look at this guy here, right? And that right there. Look how fucking broad I am now. Oh, you guys, that's what we're doing here now. Okay, all right, let's keep going with this. Telling them that they can't see the reality of what their lives are and what they can be and what they will be if Kamala Harris and the Democrats continue to hold power. All of that being considered, I don't have much faith, especially after watching that debate, that Donald Trump will stay focused. I'm honestly questioning whether or not he is going to win. I know after the assassination attempt, I was convinced that there was nothing that could happen. It's the beginning of the transitions. The election. You see that? That's hot. It seems as though it is his to give away, and he almost is intent on doing just that. I'm concerned about his ability to win, even if he does stay focused. Everything that I know about election systems, about polling, the underlying systems, there's something that's going on here. And for Trump's win to be accepted, in my opinion, it is going to have to be overwhelming. It needs to be, isn't it? And it was, right? His win was like, it was fucking wild. Like again, here, I knew that I felt extremely confident that he was going to win. Everybody that I talked to, very confident he was going to win. It had come to the point that Kamala Harris was such dog shit that there was no way that she was possibly going to win. Here, I am saying, to avoid the questions of impropriety within the election, it's going to have to be a wildly fucking overwhelming win, right? Which it was. But isn't it interesting, and I'm not the first one to bring this up, right? But that so many of us, myself included, were willing to sit here, sit on our own shows, sit in our own places of business, and talk about how fucked up the elections were in 2016 and in 2020, but then
You will hydrate, you will train, you will adjust to this desert, and you'll hydrate some more.
If anybody can tell me where these drops come from, I'll give you something. Don't know where it is. Don't know what it is, but if you can tell me where the drops come from, I'll give you something. Okay, so we questioned the elections in 2016 on the left, right? Like, Russia was involved, this was fucked up, this is crazy, how could he win? 2020, Republicans were questioning the election. This is fucked up, there's no way that he won, how could this happen? This one comes along, Republicans, everybody who voted for Donald Trump, everybody who questioned in 2020, we just don't fucking say anything. We just don't give a shit, right? We don't talk about how fucked up wild it is that he won like that in a suspicious manner. We just talk about how fucked up wild it is that he won like that because we haven't seen anybody win like that in so long. But why are we concerned about the election system being fucked if we knew that it was before? We knew that it was. We talked about that. I've sat on this show a bajillion times and talked about the HBO documentaries. This information is still there. You can still see all of these things. You can still go and find it somewhere. I should really try and find the docs again. I haven't since then. We should try and see if we can find the docs, what it was like Hacking America or something like that, right? We watched it. Some of those machines are still in use. There are still ways, and I don't, I hate to get taken off YouTube, my first stream back, but like, you can get into those machines, and I'm not, whatever, I'm done making excuses. You can get into some of those machines. You can access them. You can change the results. These things have been proven in documentaries that are on fucking HBO, right? So we know that it's possible. Why did we stop fucking caring when we saw that it was just such an overwhelming win? It was so overwhelming that it's just outside of question, which is what I was arguing for. That's what we're going to need. But then why didn't we question it at all? Shouldn't we still be sus of that? Shouldn't we still be concerned just like we were in 2020? And I'm attacking myself. Why didn't I give a fuck? Why didn't any of us give a fuck? We just talked about how crazy it is that he won that crazy. And then shit on the Democrats for questioning the election, just like we did in fucking 2020, right? I don't know. I'm not trying to even take a side on this. I'm trying to just, I guess, like, call myself out of I'm saying it's going to have to be overwhelming. And it was, but then I still didn't question, man, why though? I gotta have a button that does the monkey meme. Why though? But I think that it's an interesting question. Why didn't we give a fuck, right? Let's keep going. unquestionable, and it is going to have to withstand the fortification of the election that we saw last time, because we read the article, they posted the articles, Time Magazine, that they fortified the election, is what they said, to ensure that everything worked out in their favor. They are going to have to overwhelmingly win this election, the Republicans, Donald Trump, for it to go down that way. There is going to be a lot of questions. There's going to be a lot of upsetness on the side of the Democrats if he wins. That it is going to have to be a substantial victory, in my opinion, for him to be totally fine with everybody. I mean, don't get me wrong. This system is manufactured. It has been for some time now. Kamala Harris is the most transparently manufactured figure I have seen make it this far into a race. I mean, like I said, we are less than 60 days out. She is knocking on the doorstep of the presidency, and she is almost not a real person. She is like a hologram. And she is knocking on the fucking door, and I just can't believe that this is what we've done to ourselves. And I think potentially my deepest fear is that if we allow Kamala Harris this selection, that is true, right? That's still true. Bilbo swaggin', holy shit. Bilbo Swaggins. How the fuck are you? Oh my God, it's been forever. Jesus Christ, thank you for being here. Okay, so that just threw me off. That was crazy. Okay, so she was and is like not even a real person, right? We know this to be true. We've seen it. It's really kind of sad how fake she is. How bought and paid for she is, how just transparent it was. I'm just talking about like how fucked is it that we can see that she's being controlled by power, right? That we know that she's just a mouthpiece for the Democratic Party and for this power structure and for whatever they want to be done, right? But again, we allowed ourselves, and I'm really kicking myself because I'm not sure why it happened other than just being stupid. Right? That we like let ourselves be tricked by this populist movement of Donald Trump of like, he's fucking for the people, he's really down. I think I don't even want to pontificate at this point. I'm just going to continue to beat myself up about it, right? Because I think that I deserve that. The flagellation, I think, is deserved for this first part of this show, that like Donald Trump and his inauguration is surrounded by billionaires. You know, I mean, we bring, man, we're going to get into it more in the Palantir stuff, but like when he brings Elon Musk in with Doge, there's just so much other stuff that gets brought in with him that is just pretty fucking sketchy that we just didn't consider. We're not thinking about these things, right? We are so swept up and allowed ourselves to be fooled to be afraid, as I'm going to talk about in the show, so driven by fucking anger and fear at the Democrats that we accepted Donald Trump and what he was saying and him being cool and going on the podcasts and seeing him and like, oh damn, he was really funny. Like, I remember listening to Donald Trump on Flagrant and then telling Jordan, my wife, like, man, you have to watch this because he was pretty fucking chill and funny, and I think that's great.
You will hydrate, you will train, you will adjust to this desert, and you'll hydrate some more.
It's like I've never seen him be so cool and chill. Like, he was very funny, you know? I never liked him. I never was like a Donald Trump guy. So then we're coming around to these podcasts, and I know that doesn't mean anything, right? Outside of his ability to just talk for multiple hours, which shows that there's an element of him that's just still a real person, right? And I think we were all so desperate for a fucking taste of reality at that point that was enough for like so many of us. Like, goddamn, at least he's a real person. At least we can see some type of substance here, even if he is totally fucking bought and paid for. We're just willing to put that in the back of our minds. Like, oh, he's too rich. He can't possibly be bought and paid for. He has too much money that he doesn't need to be. That's retarded. Money likes money. That's what anybody who has money wants more money. That's what they want. They always want more money. That's like the whole fucking idea. That's how they got rich, is they want more money. Why? They don't cap out. The same way that we sit around as poors and we're like, man, once you make X amount of dollars, it doesn't even make a difference anymore because statistically, blah, blah. They don't think like that. Like, once they have that amount of money, they're like, damn, I just wonder how big I can make this number. That's where most of them are at. So they don't give a, so why would we fool ourselves into thinking that it was any fucking different? Stupid. Coordinated figure to take place in the Oval Office, we are going to be taking one of the final steps away from this system. We are truly handing the keys to the kingdom over to the powers that be, that we don't have control anymore. They will have proven that they are able to contrive and manufacture almost every aspect of the government from the top down, however they want to. They can put candidates in place, they can put judges, they can put anything they want in place and just pull the powers, pull the levers and make the system work however they want. And this is, I mean, this is it. We're giving it away if we allow this one to take place. They are able to literally control every aspect of the system. Kamala Harris, as a person, is nothing. She is just a vessel for and represents a group of people that are looking down on us and only aim to control us. It's the group that Chris Cuomo just talked about. They're literally looking down on us. So that's true, right? That part is true, because again, I'm going to talk about the Chris Cuomo clip that we watched where he's at the DNC and he's like, hey, all these pieces of shit are literally looking down on you. But again, as we've seen more and more of this stuff with like Jeffrey Epstein, we'll get into this, right? Some of the latest updates, I mean, really all we can do is kind of just like brush over it, because there's not even, there is and there isn't a ton to discuss, right? We know a lot of the same information that we knew before. At this point, it's becoming very more and more clear. I guess I have to be careful. I'm trying to not be careful because I don't want to protect anything, but I'm trying to be careful because I don't want to like get in trouble for anything. I was actually surprised she didn't run for CA governor. Dude, me too. I said at some point in this video that Kamala Harris was going to get teamed up with a nobody, and my prediction was Dean Phillips. It ended up being, what's his face, Tim Walz. That he was going to team up with a nobody so that when they lose, they can go away and no one's going to ever notice. Like, it's just not going to matter. And I think a big part of that is true, was true, because who knows where they went. But also, isn't that fucking weird? Like, where did she go? She's so young, because in the real world, she's like in her 40s, right? She is very young. Where the fuck did she go? That bitch just ran for president. Now she's just gone. She's got nothing going on. Nobody wants her anywhere. I knew that, though. We all knew that. That's what I talked about here. She's a piece of shit. There's no substance to her. But I think that's why she didn't run for CA governor, because people even there know there's nothing to her, dude. There's nothing there. And as much as we all hate Gavin Newsom, they fucking love his ass there. I don't know what that. She has her book tour right now. That makes sense. That's what they be doing. Books, right? That's what they're all doing. Books. It's from above, and they want to control every aspect of our lives. And this group stands, the powers that be, as I call them, they stand opposed. We were talking about Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, no, let's go, and then we'll go. Currently, by a growing coalition of very imperfect people that I believe actually care about this nation. And of course, I'm speaking chiefly about Donald, that a growing lives. And this group stands, the powers that be, as I call them, they stand opposed currently by a growing coalition of very imperfect people that I believe actually care about this nation. And of course, I'm speaking chiefly about Donald Trump, RFK, Tulsi Gabbard. This is beginning to become a bigger thing as well. Okay, that's exactly what I was talking about, right? I wasn't never fully bought in on like, this is how we win. This is how we get back freedoms, right? My deal was always, these people are crazy, crazy imperfect, but it is a boldly, obviously better choice than the alternative that we have. That part I still believe, because in this part here, I still have faith in some of these people, man. I still do. We can talk about how shitty they are and how fucking weird they are all day, all the different whatever. I have a lot of questions about RFK, but these people, there's some value to them. I don't know. I don't even want to get into it. They're fucking politicians. They're all pieces of shit at the end of the day. I still kind of like some of these people. We should have been more weary. More weary even than I was here. We're seeing it all the time. And these people, like I said, RFK, Tulsi Gabbard, I truly believe that they care about America and they believe in what it can become and what it represents. I still believe that. For the world. And they are, like I said, I would consider very moderate Democrats, and there are two of the many, many Democratic members who left that party, including myself, who left that party because it no longer represents what we believe in. It has gone so far away from true Democratic values. It is not even, RFK said this, it is a far cry from what his father and what his uncle would believe to be and what they see as the Democratic Party today. Let me be very clear. These people are not heroes. They are not idols. They are currently better than the opposition, who, like I said, if is allowed to take power, I believe will fully cement their ability to contrive and fabricate our election systems, our society from any level that they want to. This is why this deserves attention. This is why I believe this is important. These people, this coalition is important. It's because they're standing opposed to, I mean, this is, I hate to like sound like a fear. Okay. So again, reiterating, that's what I meant, right? These people are not perfect. They're not heroes. They're not saviors. We didn't hang on to that enough coming into this win in 2024, right? We did not hang on to that enough. We got way too swept up in this is sick. The Dems are going to be crying now. Lib tears, whatever you want to fucking call it, right? We were never like mad conservative on this show. I don't think so. I fucking talk about guns all the time, so people always say that shit, but either way, we did not hang on to that enough. That these people are fucking fools. That I'm sitting here trying to glaze. I'm glazing this video and I want to beat my own ass because I'm also trying to like cover up in it now. That I'm like, well, I still do kind of like them. They're pieces of shit, right? They're pieces of shit. That's cool that they've done cool stuff in the past. That's cool that they've done some things that are great. They're pieces of shit. They're trying to gather power. They're trying to use government to control other people. That's what's going on. They're trying to serve in government. That's what's happening here. We cannot allow ourselves to leave that box. That place is garbage. That we need to like live in that. There's a very, very few people that can ever even be considered as exceptions to that rule of anybody in that system is fucking garbage. If they are there long enough, they get swept up. I don't care how fucking cool you are, how based you think you are. That's why the real dogs never actually run. It's because they know, doesn't matter how fucking cool you are, doesn't matter how genius you think you are, how strong-willed you think you are, they're gonna get you. They're gonna find some type of way to get you, whether it is willingly, unwillingly, they're gonna blackmail you, they're gonna pay you, they're gonna find some type of way to control you, right? It doesn't matter. We have to really think, we gotta be living in that box, man. We gotta be living in that box. And I don't even want to like make a list of people who could be exceptions. We could, we certainly could, but I don't want to because I'm not even trying to step into the beginning of the G of glazing, right? Fuck those people. They're serving in government. That's cool that some of them do cool stuff. They're pieces of shit. They're all a part of a game, a part of a party that we are not involved in. They are going to do what they can to try and move our freedoms to protect themselves. We got to be operating from that beginning point moving forward. And then if there are some people that are able to prove themselves to not be that, who are government agents, then maybe we can discuss that. But we've got to be operating, I believe, from this point of fuck those people. That's not how we win. It just isn't. That's not the way. This is not the way. So we didn't hang on to this enough. We're talking about, I think I said something about the power structures. I'm going to go back like 15 seconds so that we can hear more. Clear. These people are not heroes. They are not idols. They are currently better than the opposition, who, like I said, is allowed to take power, I believe will fully cement their ability to contrive and fabricate our election systems, our society from any level that they want to. This is why this deserves attention. This is why I believe this is important. These people, this coalition is important. It's because they're standing opposed to, I hate to like sound like a fearmonger or like it's just the time, but this is a very important election. I believe this candidate is extremely dangerous because of what she represents, not because of her, because she is nothing, like I said, because of what she represents. And that's why the coalition is important, because they are what is standing in between us and this potential future. And I think that matters. It's not because I want to embrace everything that Donald Trump and RFK and Tulsi Gabbard believe in and what they want. It's because they are currently, this sounds horrific because it sounds like I'm putting them up there, but they're what's standing in between us and them right now. Like that's, I am glazing this video. I'm gonna call myself out. I absolutely am. I'm trying to find a way around it, but I am. Excuse me. I gotta have a fucking mute button. I made you guys for dinner. I don't even know if I want to interrupt it. We'll talk about it later when we do the rub. But we're gonna do some cooking together. Well, I'm not gonna cook. We're gonna do some prepping together later. It's gonna be fucking sick. Then we'll talk about dinner when we did that. But I am glazing in this video. I absolutely am glazing with people because I'm trying to maintain some like level of separation, and that is not an inherently bad thing. But I think that knowing what I know now, I think that just opens the door up for us to get swept up like we did with Donald Trump, because we leave the possibility for them to like be okay. And when we find out that they're pieces of shit, it's too late most of the time. Like right now, all this stuff going on with Jeffrey Epstein, right? With the list and all this stuff, right? It's like, he's already president. So it's kind of too late. He's already in the office. So no matter what we find out, Donald Trump, no matter what we find out with the documents, with the people that are being interviewed, with any of this stuff, he's already there. We already made him the president. So we've already shown that whether he is, I don't know if you get in trouble for saying pedo and stuff on YouTube, we'll find a different name for it. Whether he's actually guilty of that, of assault, of like abusing children, or whether it's some other whatever, money laundering, whatever, right? He's still deeply ingrained in a horrifically dark system. Doesn't even feel like the right word. Scheme, cabal is not right, it's overused, but like structure that he still is deeply ingrained in, a structure that he knows is horrifically evil and is willing to not do anything about that. I don't know what you do. I'm not, whatever. I don't know how you take down a structure like that. I don't know how you take down some type, that level of power. But we are now, not only has it permeated our government, we are pushing it forward and anointing them as president, just like we were scared that we were going to do with Kamala Harris. We just did that with Donald Trump. And I was talking to Colin earlier this week, and I still have to like really try and brain game this out. But we were talking about Donald Trump. We're talking about this Epstein stuff, the documents, because Thomas Massie and a few other representatives are pushing to release all of the Epstein documents that they have. They're trying to let everything go, plus the legendary 117. They're trying to let all the documents go. And as they're getting closer to this, the Donald Trump White House has come out and said that a push to release these documents would be seen as a hostile move towards the White House. I don't know in what sober world that would be hostile to the White House if he's done nothing wrong like he's claimed this entire time. Like everything's on the up and up. Obviously, and it isn't this that decides that, it's a lot of other things, but it seems almost impossible to deny now he has involvement in this scheme that I'm talking about, in this structure. So I just don't, there were inklings of that before, and we have confirmation, I mean borderline confirmation of that now, and it really, really, really fucks me up and makes me fucking angry that we let this shit happen. We did this to our fucking selves. All of the other people, we didn't know. Like we didn't, prior to like 10 years ago, before we knew about Epstein, the mass majority of the public didn't know about this type of fucking scandal, this cabal, this power structures, whatever you want to call it. We didn't know that it existed. Some people did, and they talked about Alex Jones. The select few knew this existed. We didn't know broadly that it was. But now that we do, like, what are we doing? We're just still letting this happen. We're not making this the number one priority on our list of everything. That there is somewhere an information that it gives us the ability to understand, at the very least, the breadth, the swath, the extent of the arms of this operation, right? To know kind of who would be involved. Probably not every single person. There's probably not a solid list of just like the fly logs or whatever, because those kind of, it can mean something that kind of whatever. There isn't going to be a list of like this person, you know, did this with this person and this person took this money. There isn't going to be a ledger like that. That's just not how crime works. There is going to be documentation because it's a blackmail scandal. That's the whole point, is that this is used to blackmail people. That's, we have the footage early on. We can watch but not listen to one of the videos that Blunt Jesus on Instagram, very excellent account, I suggest everyone go look, has put together. It's a compilation of all of this footage from when Jeffrey Epstein was first arrested, of his apartment, of all these videos and all these cameras and all this bullshit that now they're saying didn't happen, but they're saying didn't exist. There were no cameras, there was no information, there is no videotapes, those things don't exist, is the current line from the government as far as the things that came from Epstein's house. We know that they did, though. So somewhere this information exists. Somehow we can get an understanding of at the very least, some of the people who were involved. Why are we not doing that? Why is that not the number one thing that all of us fucking care about? There are very few universal things in the world, in this country in particular. Very, very few. Very, very few. Of the normal people in this country, I mean the ones that are not mentally ill, which is a shrinking number, I'll give you. We can all agree people who sexually abuse children are pieces of shit. And they don't really deserve a second chance, right? They don't really deserve another option.
Here's a tip. Aim for the nerve stem and put it down for good.
Right? So we all kind of can agree that that's the way to go. If we can all agree that that's the jam, why can we not all agree that this should be the most important thing that we're doing? Jeffrey Epstein finding this out, figuring out exactly what the fuck is going on. Why can we not agree that that's the most important thing? We're so worried about all of this other bullshit that we're literally willing to let it get swept under the rug. Many of us are not. I'm not obviously not blaming fucking everybody. Many, many people in the country are willing to just not give a fuck anymore because other shit is going on. And that is crazy. We know we can find this out and we're okay with not doing that. John, what is the holdup on disclosing the documents? A hive official guilty like many others. Yeah, no, 100%. That's, I mean, anybody who knows that they could potentially be implicated, is throwing every roadblock possible in front of these documents. That's 100%, or else they would be out right now, right? If they're, man, one of the reasons, we're going to take a brief, God, I should have got a fucking pen and paper down here. I don't even have a fucking planner down here. I'm going to take a break in a minute. We'll go up and get it. One of the points that I have written down here, and we've discussed a million times on this show, we're going back to the main screen. We'll go back to this in a minute, is this dual mentality of politics that we have, right? You can kind of think about things, you have to think about things in two different terms in the modern world, in two different realms, right? You can operate in what is current political reality, right? And that is the red versus blue, the separation of powers, the system as we understand it today, right? You can discuss it on those terms, which is like the bills that are being passed and the people, the elections, the voting, the polling, these things, right? We're going to call that the reality politics. Then there is fucking multiverse politics, we're going to call it, right? We're going to come up with a different name because it's fucking stupid. That's what I have right now is multiverse politics, right? Where you're seeing, you are not missing the forest for the trees. You are seeing exactly what we're talking about now. You're seeing all this stuff. You're operating on a higher fucking plane of being for politics. You know everyone is garbage. All of this is bullshit. You can't vote your way out. We have to find alternative pathways. You're operating here where you're having real discussion. I mean, quote unquote real discussions, because it's difficult to have like practical discussions about moving forward with that, but of different ways to operate, and even just discussing the possible, the truth that you can't vote your way out, right? That's kind of the second level. You can't vote your way out of it. And then there's the base level where you're talking about voting, the reality politics we talked about. We're talking about voting and stuff. You have to operate on two different levels to live sanely, I think, right? And to try and like be willing to discuss politics with people, you have to live in these two different levels. How the fuck did I get here? Disclosing the documents, high up officials. Man. Two different worlds of politics. High up officials. I didn't even smoke coming into this because I knew I was going to be fucked up.
You will hydrate, you will train, you will adjust to this desert, and you'll hydrate some more.
Stopping the documents, doing everything that they can. That's it, man. There's the two different levels. I'm sure that I'll figure it out, and we'll get back to it because that was absolutely just a beautiful derail. The whole, what's disclosing documents? High official guilty, like many others. Yes, anybody who knows they can are going to try and block it. Who fucking knows, man? We'll just keep going. I'm sorry about that. Epstein, power structures. The reality is, let's just get back to the video. That's the other choice that we're being given, and it's so plain to me how much better that option is. I speak about it in these terms because I truly fear for what can happen in our country in the next 5 years. And that's why I'm talking about the election, these short terms of time, is because things can really happen this quickly. Earlier in the episode, in this video, I referenced an interview that I heard recently with Michael Malice, and he was asked about the conditions of communism. How do you know what has to happen, and when does the light switch flip? And Michael Malice said, I don't believe that it's like that. It's not like one day there's a switch is flipped and now you're in communism. Eventually, slowly over time, the conditions are created for the system to take place, and eventually that is what happens as you are there. This is what I fear that we're doing here, is we are slowly over time continuing to create the conditions for the system that we know and that we care about and that provides us with some semblance of freedom and choice to be taken away from us. And it's not just that it's happening around us, we're letting it happen. We're slowly... This is what I was just saying, right? That's what we were just talking about with Donald Trump, with these Epstein, with all this Epstein shit, that we know that it's happening now, and we're still letting that happen. We're continuing to operate in this current system, even though we're accepting that it's fucked up. We are accepting that the people that we're voting for, especially the people that we're allowing to be incumbents, right? When we put incumbents back into office, we're voting for people that we know are confirmed pieces of garbage. It's not even like it's a new candidate. It's like, man, maybe this guy's kind of cool before he's been stolen, before he's been corrupted. You're putting an incumbent back in office. You know that they're garbage. You know that they've already been corrupted. But this is what we're doing to ourselves. And when it comes to Donald Trump, we did it to ourselves. We ignored it. We chose to ignore it. We had all of the information in the beginning at that time. The whispers, we didn't want to admit it. Right? We're like, no, it's crazy that Donald Trump would be involved in that. That would be fucking insane that he would do anything like that. It wouldn't matter. Or not that it wouldn't matter, but he just wouldn't do that, right? He's a people person. And even when I was having this discussion with Colin, right, we're talking about like two different kind of layers of power, that Colin is saying that he doesn't think, and I'm not trying to put Colin on blast, he's just the person I discuss these things with, he doesn't think that Trump was like a diddler or anything, but he's involved in some other way that, still like involves him in or envelops him in this blackmail scheme. And I just don't, what does it matter, right? What's the difference? I was watching The Departed. God, this is beautiful. I was watching The Departed today. And in the very beginning of that movie, lost my whole train of thought. What's the difference, right? That's what he says. Yep. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to pull up this movie so that we know what everyone is talking about. We should all know what The Departed is. We do. And the reason that we're doing this is because I can't fucking remember these people's names. Okay, so Jack Nicholson, right? Jack Nicholson's character is talking about how what cops do this and criminals do this. The difference is this and this, and then he says, "But my question is, when you're looking at the loaded gun, what's the difference, right? It's the same deal. What's the God? This wasn't worth the payoff. What's the difference, right? My question to you, Colin, to anybody who's making this argument is, what's the fucking difference, right? That if we can see that this person is involved in the power structure, what absolute difference does it make? And it doesn't. They're still a piece of garbage. They still know these things are happening. They're still letting them happen. It doesn't matter whether or not they actually did the touching, they did the this, they did the that. They know. They know this is happening. Hell yeah, buffer, baby. Giving our rights away. We're giving our freedoms away. We're voting for people that want to take things from us. We're voting for people who want to lock up certain portions of the population. I really don't want to fearmonger. Oh shit. Another really interesting point, right? We have a lot of interesting things going on with immigration, right? A lot of really interesting things going on with immigration. We were kind of hoping when Donald Trump got in office that he was gonna, I don't know, I think a lot of us had like this magical image, you know? He's gonna get in there, he's gonna fucking round them up. He's gonna find the people that really shouldn't be here, the bad people that they're saying they already know who's here because they're getting arrested and they're letting them go. They're gonna find the criminals, they're gonna get them the fuck out, right? It hasn't exactly turned out that way. There is some criminals that are gone. You know, we're not going to dive too deep in. I don't have articles pulled up. I don't have like stats. I don't have whatever. It's not been as cut and dry as we thought it was. We have seen a lot of people who were fucking here chilling for a long time. They're getting sent home. A lot of people that maybe shouldn't be the priority of getting out, right? And I've got a pretty low tolerance of empathy for the illegal immigration thing. This is again where that two minds of politics comes in. That if we're talking about the rules, the laws of politics, like we all have to play by the same game then. If I have to follow these rules, then I'm going to expect everyone to follow these rules, even though I think they're bullshit. I don't think anyone should really be doing this. If I could be arrested for this, then we need to be operating in the same game until we can agree to get the fuck out of it, right? I'm already down, but until we can collectively agree to not do this anymore, I'm expecting everyone to operate in the same rules, in the same world of rules, right? We all have to do this thing. If you didn't follow the rules, you have to get out. There's other things going on. There's other things at play. There are government services, there's taxes, there's this, there's that. There's all this shit that goes into it. You have to follow the rules or you have to get the fuck out, right? Work with a guy named Brian. He got married. He's doing all this shit. It's taken him like almost 2 years to get his wife here. It shouldn't be this way. He's married. It's all on the up and up. He should be able to bring his wife here. It's only because the system is so bogged down with bullshit and insanity that he can't get his wife here, right? My point about all this really being, I'm not here to, you know, sit and talk about like the injustices of the immigration system and the way that it's going. This might be whatever, Bear Gulch fire halted due to ICE arresting firefighters. Okay, what I'm saying, there are people being arrested here that are not the priority, that just don't really matter, I think, to any of us who want fucking illegals to not be here anymore, right? That's, thank you, John, because it's a point that I'm making, is that I would like for people who are here illegally to not be here anymore. I'm down for that happening. I would like it to be done on kind of a priority list for people who continue to break the fucking rules to get out. If you've been here for 20 years, I'm just not as concerned about it. Again, you're breaking the rules. You've been here for 20 years. I'm not quite as concerned if you're not fucking around, if you're just getting shit done. Certainly if you're providing fucking public services, right? It's the same deal like the first time that I heard about people who had been enlisted in the military and served and then still were not made American citizens and then were living here and could be deported afterwards. Like this is crazy to me, right? That's a clown world shit to me that is... It just doesn't make any sense. It's outside, it kind of transcends those two worlds for me that like, Jesus Christ, does this not make any fucking sense? And, oh, I remember how I got to the point that people can do whatever they want, right? I have to get a fucking pen and paper. I have to. Okay, here's this. Here's a pen. Let me write this down. Two worlds politically... rules don't matter. Okay, let me talk about this first point with the firefighters, with the people. This transcends the two worlds, right? It just doesn't fucking matter to me that they've been here illegally for this long, and that, well, now we found out, so we just got to get them the fuck out. Let's chill with that, and let's really do this the right way, so that we're not just uprooting people. Printer paper in the drawer next to you. Yeah, I want it. I have a legal pad, you know, like an actual notepad. Thank you very much. I know there's paper everywhere. That's why I did end up with the pad, but I like the continuity of the legal pad to keep the people going. Okay. The shit's not being done the right way, okay? And in the effort governmentally of people being deported, of trying to quote unquote reform immigration, there was, I'm gonna conservatively say millions, but potentially billions of dollars that was given over to ICE, right? In this last round of funding in the big, beautiful bill. They received a shitload of money so they can hire more agents, they can do this, they can do that, they can do whatever. They also happen to be one of the people that's working with Palantir to use their AI data and tools and services to track everybody fucking everywhere all the time. Okay? We're talking about Read That Story, and it's, I don't even know, it's fully John, could you please, if you could, don't worry about it if it's going to be a hassle. If you could put that link in the chat, I would greatly appreciate that, because I would love to read that story. Even pull up the article maybe when we get later in the show. We have time. We're cruising through 10:20. I'm like barely into my notes. It's good to be back, people. It is good to be back. So ICE has all this new funding, right? They have an immense amount of new funding that they're using for tools, for AI services, for weapons, for people, for equipment, for all this stuff, right? They're also building camps. They're building camps, places to put people, holding cells, holding camps, whatever you want to call them, right? Everything I've heard, from internment camps to holding facilities to whatever you want to call them, right? Because I'm not trying to like place a political bias on this. It is a makeshift camp where people can be held for a period of time, because I think that really is the point that matters, right? Coupled with this new tracking technology that they're putting out, that they're using through Palantir, that the CIA has been using for a long time, that what now the IRS is getting into, the DoD has already been getting into, this AI technology that literally they just gather everything about you, all of the trends, all of the everything you could ever know, so they can create digital profiles and they can find out just digitally exactly who you are, right? Obviously, the line is that this is only going to be used from ICE for fucking immigrants, right? Obviously, it would only be used for ICE through immigrants, right? We're also at the same time, and I know this, it's a little bit jumpy around, but these things are connected, because at the same time that ICE is getting all these new tools so they can deport people, we're deporting people, students, people who are here on visas, we're sending them back for saying the wrong shit, for saying things that we don't like about Israel. And I'm not about to like dive into a whole point about like fuck Israel about any of this shit, right? This is really more a point of like, it's weird that you can say what you want, and I'm not the first person to say this, it's weird that you can say what you want about America, about our policies, about things that we're doing here. When you talk about a foreign nation, that's a problem, right? So you tell me that we're only deporting people here illegally, but we have people here on student visas that are being deported because they're saying the wrong shit. We've talked about this very concept of what does it mean to say something wrong, when we're talking about our fear for the Democrats, right? That they're going to rewrite English. They are going to rewrite how we can do things. They are going to rewrite the dictionaries. They're going to burn the books. They're going to reform all this stuff and choose what you can and can't say. What the fuck are we living through right now? That's exactly what we're seeing right now. People who have a right to be here, they're not illegals, right? They're not citizens here, but they have student visas. They have a right to be here. They have worked out with the government that they can be here. They're saying the wrong shit, so they're being sent the fuck home. It's not the same leaps and bounds that I'm making in this video here, in this very same video, or the ones that I'm making for you now. Okay, and if it wasn't crazy to me when I said it in the video, it shouldn't be crazy to me or any of us when I'm talking about it now. Okay, we should have the same level of distrust and skepticism in Donald Trump and in his administration that we did around Kamala Harris and her potential administration. They're showing us what they're going to do. They're showing us the different ways they can use this power against the people that they want. What happens when you're the people that they want, when I'm the people that they want, right? We've already seen this, and I'm not trying to like hold them up or anything. We've already seen this with Nick Fuentes, that they were on the side of Donald Trump, that they were like part of, they were working together, right? And this fucking Groiper War, all this shit happens because Nick Fuentes is gonna not shut the fuck up about Israel, and now they're beefing, right? Now they can't get along because of what the fuck is going on, and this wild, it's been interesting to watch, but isn't it even more interesting to see the way these dots can be easily connected now, the same way that I was for Kamala Harris, right? This fucking terrifies me because we did this to ourselves. The same thing I was saying we were going to do with her. We did it. And I'm like crazy frustrated about it. I don't get how we did that. I don't get how we fucking fooled ourselves into thinking this shit was going to be better. Kathy Money. Hi, Mom. He's causing so much chaos, it is hard to track what he legally can do. The courts are so tied up with this bullshit, and they can't do their real job. This, again, I'm really glad that you said that's a fantastic point, because we've discussed this concept also on the show for many, many years now. Colin, I'm sure that this will sound familiar to you. Because of the way that we have allowed our government to be structured, we've allowed it to be shifted, the legislative branch, the judicial branch, they no longer do their actual jobs, right? They have abdicated their responsibility for so fucking long and pushed so much power into the hands of the executive that who fucking knows what he can really do? Literally, who knows? You have people who are operating under this like unitary executive theory, like we were under Bush, and they can literally kind of do whatever they want because it's just, the limits on the president are just kind of, so-so. They're whatever. You can look at the Constitution this way, that, as long as this is happening, they can do this. And as long as these certain conditions are being met, they can do this. There are literally people operating under these ideas in the government now who are arguing that you can do whatever the fuck you want if you're president. That's what Nixon said, right? The president did it, it's not illegal, right? They settled this shit. They were doing this. They have been for some time. And again, we are responsible for this, for not holding the people we're voting and putting into office to power, holding them to account, allowing them to do nothing, allowing them to continue to vote, to repeal their responsibilities, to roll back their responsibilities, to pass things like the AUMF, the authorization for the use of military force, so they don't have to declare war. The executive does it. They can handle it as long as, it's for like terrorism and it's for scary and it's for whatever. That's all fine. That's okay. It's fine. That's what we've done now. That we've fucked ourselves to this point that literally nothing matters because no one understands or even knows what the real limits are. You try and talk about founding documents and people laugh in your fucking face because so much has happened since then and the courts have ruled in so many weird fucked up ways that have created all this weird precedent. It doesn't really matter. There's no, this is the point I was trying to make earlier with the broken brain thing. There's no saving that. I think that it's too late for that system. For what we're in now, the current iteration, is too late for that. I don't think there's a way to go back. It's too fucking broken. I just don't. You have to roll back so much of the additional and tertiary things that we have passed to like relearn our lessons that I don't think that it's possible. I don't think that it's possible. I just don't. I don't have that faith, man. I don't.
You will hydrate, you will train, you will adjust to this desert, and you'll hydrate some more.
But I agree with you. What's going on is horrific. I agree with you. Both of you, John and Kathy. Let's watch more of the video. I'm really not trying to be an extremist, but when they're talking about these things, when they're selecting portions of population and calling them domestic violent extremists, they need to be removed. These mandatory buybacks they claim to not support, they're removing your freedoms from you. They're removing your abilities to defend those freedoms. And this is what matters most, is your choice. That's what I care about most. That's why I make these videos. That's why I'm going to make this point. It's very quick. I didn't think about it before, but before we move on, Bump stocks got banned during Donald Trump. They got brought back, right? Which, shout out, that's what's up, I guess. But they got banned during Donald Trump. Everybody who claims that he's like mad 2A, right? Super into guns and shit like that. I didn't buy that before. I definitely don't fucking buy it now. Like, I don't give a shit about guns. Don't give a shit about him. He cares about not having his ass reamed in the media and not people not thinking he's a piece of shit. If he's got to fucking ban guns to do that, he's gonna do it. He doesn't fucking care. I guarantee it. He doesn't give a shit. They're gonna find ways. They're gonna jump on with these attorney generals that are writing in a Glock, asking them to, suing them to make their shit illegal. I don't know if you've seen that. There are some attorney generals suing Glock now because their guns are too easy to turn to machine guns. I mean, we're probably gonna do it here, right? Which is gonna be fucking great. Washington, I mean. But like this, that's the type of shit that I think you could look at. It's a crazy thing. It doesn't make any sense. It's gonna upset all the fucking cops that support him because most of them are using Glocks. But they don't care. He doesn't care. Does not care about the things that you think that he cares about, that we thought that he cared about. I have this channel, it's because I care about choice. I care about your ability to choose what's right for you. It's not right for me to choose for you. It's not right for anyone to choose for you, especially not a government that you didn't consent to. These things are not right. And I'm really scared that these are the choices that we're making. And this one, if we choose, again, if we allow this person, Kamala Harris, to take place, to be anointed into this office, we're putting, in my concerned opinion, one of the final nails in this coffin for ourselves. And I don't know how we turn around if we cement this power in the hands of the powers that be to do what they want with election systems and with our government completely. I don't know how we go back from that. That's been the only redeeming thing I've had this whole time, and I've spoken with many, many people about this. It's the only chance I believe we have, one of the only chances, is to have someone, an executive who enters office who doesn't care about themselves, who's willing to be a martyr and willing to strip the powers away from the executive branch to try and shrink the government. And if we allow this to take place, there's no chance of that. This is where we're at now. I don't believe Donald Trump will do that. I believe if he puts the right people in place, RFK chiefly, there's a potential for this to happen. I don't believe in Donald Trump to the end. I don't believe that he's the savior. I believe, I said, he's currently better than the opposition, and he's gonna do a better job for us than Kamala Harris will. As I said, I fear that some of these conditions that Michael Malice talked about are being created. We can see these things in the direction the Democratic Party and some of those voters are going towards. There are an increasing number of people that are asking for gun buybacks, restrictions on assault weapons. Like as I said earlier, this is your ability to defend yourself. This is how the final line between you and your removal of your rights is your ability, your right to defend yourself, that no one can remove from you. You are the only one who can give this away. We are seeing the budget continue to grow, money leaving the country, the dollar losing power globally, while we're getting less and less government services and being promised more and more all the time. And the things we do get. Show dog. Hello. Finally worked your way down here, huh? Come here. Come here and say hi. You see the show dog, kind of? You present yourself? She's black, so she's hard to see, but she's down here. You warm? Hi. Talking about Trump. Okay. So that's what I was talking about, right? Let's go back. We'll go back a few seconds and we'll do it again. Better than the opposition, and he's gonna do a better job for us than Kamala Harris will. Lay down. As I said, I fear that some of these conditions that Michael Malice talked about are being created. We can see these things in the direction the Democratic Party and some of those voters are going towards. There are an increasing number of people that are asking for gun buybacks, restrictions on assault weapons. Like as I said earlier, this is your ability to defend yourself. This is how the final line between you and your removal of your rights is your ability, your right to defend yourself, that no one can remove from you. Yep. You are the only one who can give this away. We are seeing the budget continue to grow, money leaving the country, the dollar losing power globally, while we're getting less and less government services and being promised more and more all the time. And the things we do get, that was it. We're going to see still what goes on with the economy, right? So far, oh, my money still isn't worth shit, right? So far, we had this big ass budget bill that got passed, and they did cut a bunch of government services, right? That is the thing. I tend to be less concerned about that type of stuff because it's not. This is the perfect way to get back to the two circle thing, the Venn diagram, to the two worlds. That's what I'm talking about, right? Because it doesn't. When we are talking about the idea of Medicaid being rolled back, about people losing their insurance, about all this stuff, the fears that we're talking about in these big cutbacks going on, it is difficult for me to conceptualize those things happening because typically they don't. Typically, when large sums of money get cut and people are going to lose services, they begin to complain, which is fair, right? Totally natural. They start to make motions. The people who are pretending to care about them start to actually do some shit, and then the money works itself out. Money is not real the way that we have it now. Not that that is news to anybody, right? It's not based on anything. And I'm not talking about like gold standard or any that type of shit. I just mean in a basic logical way of thinking, it doesn't mean anything. It's ones and zeros. You are talking about, especially in the world, specifically in the world of government budgets, you're talking about trillions of dollars. It is a number that neither you or I literally can actually conceive of in our brains. We've never seen a trillion anything. We've never seen a billion anything, maybe even a million anything. So for us to bicker over fractions or literally singles tens of trillions of dollars, it makes no sense because it's not fucking real. I just don't believe in that. I've seen way too many times we come down to the wire, these people are going to lose their insurance, these people are going to lose their insurance. They go, oh, actually I found a way in the executive branch, like we just talked about, where I can do this and I can pass this particular ruling and it actually circumvents that whole thing and we go right back to here. So I just don't believe that. I don't care. I had many people talk to me about the big beautiful bill, try and chat me up about it. Aren't you concerned about this? Well, I heard about this. Doesn't this fucking gay? The only thing I give even a little bit of a shit about is the overtime and the tips. That's the only thing that I care about. That's the only thing that matters to me because that's a tangible thing I know for sure we're going to see in January. I know for sure that's going to happen. They're going to backdate that, and we're going to do the things. It might fuck up the money. It might make the inflation even worse. I don't know. I honestly don't know. My brain isn't big enough to think past that point. I know enough about politics to know that those fears probably aren't real. It just probably isn't going to happen. When you're talking about services like that, they don't get taken away in large swaths, which is the same reason that this expanded child tax credit is going to stay around, and it has. Same reason that this, even though there's a sundown period on it, right, or a sunset period on this overtime and tips thing, that's not going away. You don't give people huge sums of money and then fucking take it away. That is why at the end of COVID, there were enormous pushes to continue to give out stimulus checks forever. That's why they're talking about UBI, because you gave people checks. You showed them that it was possible. You showed them that it was the option was there. The government can, in fact, just reach out and put money in your pocket, and no one ever has to ask about it. You showed them that you can do it. That's why they asked for it. They're going to keep asking for it. Anytime anything bad happens, that's what people are going to ask for because you showed them that you could do it. You can't just take away the powers now. It's already there. It exists. They know that it exists. It's the same with all other shit. I just don't. It's conceptual. It is conceptual. And that's the two circles thing when we're talking about getting rid of stuff, right? We're talking about getting rid of these documents. There's these two separate worlds. The reality that we're living in, where we're talking about documents, we're talking about news stories, this is being reported and they're saying this, and I heard this, right? There's that world. And then there's the other world that's above that one, where they're actually doing shit. And they can block things. They can just make things up and it doesn't matter. They can just throw shit in the trash and don't know, we lost it. They can delete 1 minute of a clip, say, oh, actually, we do that every single day. Don't worry about it. We can say, actually, the video doesn't exist, and then show you the video that we said didn't exist, and say, but the 1 minute that you think might be relevant, That's just the changing the tapes. That happens every single day. It's totally normal. It doesn't matter. That's where the real politics, that's where that second level is, where you have to be living, where you say, that's not real, this is real, and there might literally be the devil. They might actually, for real, be the devil in this top layer because it's so fucking evil and dark that I don't know what else to even attribute it to other than pure fucking evil, right? We're talking about, you're talking about kids, you're talking about like destroying lives. Literally destroying a child's life and then asking them to live forever. That's evil. That's pure fucking evil. That is all that is. We have to exist in that. We have to exist around that. We're pushing that forward. When you don't operate on that second level, you're okaying that. Because you know it's happening. We're existing in the point now. We live in the point. We live in the world. You can't ignore that anymore. We know that Jeffrey Epstein existed. We know what he did. We know some of the people that were involved. We know that somewhere we can have the answers to most of the people, if not all the people that were involved. You can't escape it now. So if you don't live in that world, if you don't live on that second layer where the evil is living, when you don't look at it in the fucking eye, you okay that. You sign off on that existing and you keep saying that should just keep going on. That's crazy. I know that you know better. We all know better, but I don't think anybody's putting it to you that way. You're saying that's okay by not talking about it and talking about it all of the time. I'm not saying your whole life should be fucking Jeffrey Epstein. But when anybody says, it doesn't really matter that much, if you don't jump down their fucking throat and tell them that they're a piece of shit and they're allowing this type of behavior to go forward, you're saying it's okay, man. You're letting that, whatever. I know it sounds like kind of shitty. That's a little bit of a hyperbolic, but I think you understand the point that I'm making here. If you're not addressing it, if you're not looking at it, you're choosing to do nothing. You are complacent in the existence of that evil by not even talking about it. That's a problem. I'm not expecting you to solve it. None of us, I don't think, can solve that, certainly on an individual basis. To not acknowledge it and know it and live in that and hate it and hate anybody involved in it, you're like complacent in that. You have to hate that, dude. You gotta hate that. You have to hate the destruction of children. You have to. Everybody does. If you don't, you're kind of a piece of shit, right? But this is what my concern is, right? We knew kind of had an idea of all of this before we got in office, and we got swept up in letting that be okay. We got swept up in fuck those people. They need to be over. We can't allow that we allowed this. And I think I'm going to get into that. Or
would you like to know more?
Continuously. The Democrats are consistently asking and begging, pushing for an expansion of the courts because they don't like the way that things are being done. They want to expand and change things so that they can have control over the government system, so they can control the laws. This is not democratic. We talked already, there's been growing control of the election systems over the way that the elections are done, over the candidates, over they're choosing every aspect of this for you so that you have less and less control over even what your options are. And to add to the budget, every time we talk about this, every time the Democrats talk about this, they don't talk about, even the Republicans do this, they don't talk about cutting the budget. They don't talk about trying to save the country by lowering our spending. They blame the rich every single time. It's the rich that are doing this to you. It's the billionaires that are doing this to you. It's not us that's stealing from you. It's not us that refuses to lower our budget or lower our expenditures. It's those people, the people that you work for, that are stealing from you. And the Democrats are not shy about what they want. They're telling you precisely what their intentions are by the policies they're pushing forward. We can see these things all the time. They're talking about them. And if we take a look at the globe, just to expand a little bit further, we can see how these policies play out when they're allowed to take place. The one exception that Michael Malice gave to these rules, these concepts that he gave out, is the slow trickle from socialism to communism that happened in Venezuela. A few weeks ago in Venezuela, there was an open coup by Nicolas Maduro, the president there, to try and retain power. This was only exposed because of the work of citizen journalists exposing the vote counts, going over the voter rolls to show the way they had taken power.
Get off it.
This was allowed to take place. This coup was allowed to take place because the voting systems, election systems were controlled completely by the government. In response, there is rioting, there is chaos all over the country of Venezuela that we have seen for years, decades now, in response to this fall into communism that they have had there. We've
There's
seen
another
people
point to
eating
be
up
made,
trash,
man.
eating out dumpsters because they can't buy food because their money means nothing. The people of Venezuela have no recourse, including firearms, to defend themselves. They have no way to try and
Anything to talk about
defend
guns.
their intentions, defend what they want from the government, because everything has been removed from them. Outside of the riot footage that we have seen, we know this is true because the citizens of Venezuela flee their country in droves. They come here, and a lot of them, one of the first things they do is arm themselves. And I don't blame them when that's the life you've been subjected to. Of course you want to arm yourself, especially if you have the ability. You don't want anyone to be able to take your rights from you again, like they've already done. And the chaos of the border underlines the Dems' intentions and their policies that deny us choice, that deny us freedom, and deny us the ability to maintain safety in our own country. And let me explain exactly what I mean, right? Nicolas Maduro, many of these countries, they're funded outside. They have to receive outside funding. The only thing, especially in Venezuela, that really they have is oil. We buy a lot of their oil. When Joe Biden took office,
What the fuck am I
they
going on
halted
about?
all new drilling permits in the United States. They started buying a bunch of new Venezuelan oil instead of pumping oil here to try and feed into this green policy thing that they're doing. So our money leads straight into Venezuela, like it wasn't before when Donald Trump. Our money goes into Venezuela, which gives the Venezuelan government, Nicolas Maduro, the power, the juice, the ability to pull off this coup, right? So he's victimizing his citizens.
the back's kinda
They get
fire.
scared. They come
Shout
here,
out Nils.
right, which makes sense, is only reasonable. We then take them in, right, which again is kind of reasonable. They're fleeing communism. That's kind of what we do. Communism sucks. This is what we do here. Democracy is the
hate
best.
communism.
Republican is the best. And so we come here. Then they're here, and now we're taking care of them. They're tripling down on the way they're abusing you. Your money is not only funding the government that's abusing these people, they're now coming here and you are supporting their lifestyle with your taxes. This government, our government, Venezuelan government, everybody, they're double, triple dipping into your pockets to deny you not only freedom through your money, but to deny you safety. The people who
wanna
are
talk about
coming here
double
are
dipping?
fucking scared. I don't blame them. They're being attacked.
You want to talk about double dipping? Have you seen? There's this Israeli fucking tech specialist that was here for a tech conference, and he got busted in Las Vegas for being a pedo, and they let him go. They let him go home. They let him fly back to Israel. I can probably pull up an article. I didn't prepare that because I just wasn't thinking about it, but that's a thing. I mentioned double dipping because Israel's fucking us, and they come here and they try and fuck our kids. So that's cool. And then we let them go. That guy's going to go back home now, and he's going to live in Israel. He's never going to come back here. The FBI caught him. The federal government caught him in that sting. Let me see if I can look up an article really quick. You'll see how quick we can be about it. Let's see. Israel tech info. Ed caught child predator. Let's see if that is really a government official. Oh, look at that. Okay, The Guardian, Reuters, U.S. denies intervening. Let's go with the Reuters one, and we'll see because they're saying that they didn't intervene. So let me send this over. I'm operating on a double super secret computer thing. I've got 2 laptops. I really just need to get, it doesn't matter. It's really interesting, me talking about my fucking tech setup for you guys. Okay, let's check out this Reuters article. Did you guys see that? The switch? Boom. Bing, bang, boom. We're switching. I'm going to switch again in just a second to the article view. Maybe. There it is. I'm going to have to call and see about some faster upload speed. Because I bet you guys are lagging. I guarantee it. Reuters. Probably the double VPN probably doesn't help, but what else are you going to do?
Okay. Haven't read this article before. We're going to read it together. Maybe. There we go. U.S. denies intervening in case of Israeli official accused of Nevada sex crime. Wait, what? Washington, August 18th. The U.S. State Department said on Monday the American government played no role in the release of an Israeli official charged with soliciting sex electronically from a minor. Tom Ortiam Alexandrovich was one of the 8 people charged last week following an undercover operation targeting, quote, targeting child sex predators, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police said in a statement issued last week. Alexandrovich faces a felony charge of luring or attempted to lure a child or mentally ill person to commit a sex act, quote, with use of computer technology, according to Nevada state court records reviewed by Reuters. Israeli media said on Thursday, Alexandrovich, who they described as a senior department head in Israel's National Cyber Directorate, was released by U.S. authorities and is back in Israel. Do you hear that? That they put him in jail, right? He was put in jail because they caught him in a sting for child predators, and then they let him go. Reuters could not establish why Alexandrovich was in the Las Vegas area, but at the time, the city was hosting Black Hat, one of the cybersecurity industry's most prominent conferences, which my understanding is he was supposed to be there. A representative for Black Hats at the conference did not share data on attendees. So then maybe it's just speculation that that's why he was supposed to be there. The report that an Israeli official accused of a felony sex crime was allowed to return home drew a storm of speculation online. Alexandrovich did not claim diplomatic immunity and was released by a state judge pending a court date. Any claims the U.S. government intervened are false, the State Department said Monday on the social media site X. The court records revealed by Reuters show a $10,000 bond was posted in Alexandrovich's case at the Henderson Detention Center southeast of Las Vegas on August 7th. Reuters could not immediately confirm Alexandrovich's whereabouts and could not immediately locate contact information for him. The records indicate he is due back in court on August 27th.
You will hydrate, you will train, you will adjust to this desert, and you'll hydrate some more.
So it's September. How much do we want to bet that he never fucking showed up? Israeli media quoted the Prime Minister's office as denying that Alexandrovich was arrested, saying only that a state employee was questioned by American authorities during his stay and he returned to Israel as scheduled, even though we have here that he paid his bond, so he definitely was arrested. How cool is that, right, guys? Isn't that fucking sick? That we let those guys, we give them like hella money and let them do whatever the fuck they want and can just, you know, say anything, and we'll send our fucking own students back to their own countries if they say shit that you don't like, and it just doesn't even matter, bro. You guys can come here. That's cool too. If you want to fuck around and, you know, abuse our kids and shit, that's fine. No problem with that. Like, what the fuck are we doing? What in the absolute fuck are we doing? It makes no sense. And we're just totally cool with it. And then shit like this happens. Republicans don't say anything, right? That's Reuters. I guess we could go, I didn't pull it up. We could Google it again somewhere. Here, I'll just pull it up on here and we can talk about where, because we'll just look up the same thing that I just did. What Israeli tech child predator. Boom. That'll do it. So let's look at, I do have my Surfshark on. We'll go to United States still, so we're not being fucked by Canada or anything. I'm going to switch around my VPN. I like to use Canada for streaming. We'll go to the main shot. Boom. I gotta get faster. My old computer. My shit sucks. Al Jazeera, The Globe and Main, Axios, Care, Haaretz, Andalu Anjazi, The Guardian, The Times of Israel, right? So not Fox News, right? Not any of these, like what we would consider like mainstream media organizations, certainly not on the right, right? What's that about? Why isn't Fox News up here? Why don't we have a Newsmax article? Newsweek, The Times of Israel, Arab News, YouTube, Facebook, Cyber Daily, The Independent, which I think is like the closest thing. The Jerusalem Post, U.S. won't intervene in Israel official pedophilia case. New York Post, U.S. says it played no part in the release. So on the third page. So what are we doing here? Texas death penalty. It makes no fucking sense, right? It makes no fucking sense. We're just cool with it. Like, no one's gonna talk about it on the right. We're gonna be mad pro-Israel. We're gonna hate pedophiles. We're gonna hate abortion. We're gonna be so mad pro-kids, so pro-family. But as soon as any of these things cross over, we're just literally not gonna fucking mention it at all. It just is a crazy, crazy thing. I mean,
Here's a tip. Aim for the nerve stem and put it down for good.
just makes no sense. It's fake, dude. It's not real. But this is the world that we're allowing ourselves to live in. We are promoting it. We're pushing it forward. We're saying that it's okay. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So let me see. I'm pretty sure that I had one kind of final point for this particular thing. And then I have a whole nother thing about like personal standards. And it's a whole thing. And so, man. I talked a lot more in this first part than I really thought I was going to. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Ground news is great. Ground news is fantastic. I completely agree. Ground news is absolutely fantastic. I don't have... On this computer, I have ground news, the plugin thing on this computer, but not on this computer. And I have it on my phone. So it just depends on how and when I go and look things up. This is a computer I mostly use for notes and for editing shit. This is obviously the computer that I use to host all of my streaming things. It pretty much is just a house for cords to be plugged in and for information to come in and out, which I guess is really what a computer is. But that one's really just kind of a whole deal. Let's see, momentary economic relief. Cryptocurrency, that's a bad deal. I don't really want to talk about that right now. I want to have Larry on to talk about the cryptocurrency. Larry, you're going to rewatch this. I want to hear and talk to you about the Donald Trump cryptocurrency. Said what I meant, what I said. This is where we step into the second realm. We talked about that. Second realm, the type of government abuse that we are existing in and surviving will continue until we do something about it. There is a distinct and notable lack of fear on the side of politicians that drives home for them the point that they do in fact work for us, right? What I'm saying there, they're not afraid of us. There's no fear on the part of politicians of their constituents, as there should be. There's a fantastic social media information page. I don't know, I guess that, fuck, of course I have lost their name. Double Out Anarchy. You'll have to give me a second. But they sell a lot of merchandise that's along the same wheel that there just isn't. I'm not going to add lib. I'm just going to read this shit. And we'll get on. I do not believe the natural progress of human beings to less violent daily life should remove the responsibility of every American in particular to remove tyrants from our lives. This is the land of the free, and it is up to us to keep it that way. I'm not asking or guiding to anything specific. It doesn't even feel worth it to me to be more detailed until more people accept and understand this reality, but I will be here when you're ready. That's what I'm talking about, that second layer, right? The second layer is when we kind of start to realize what maybe must be done. It all happens behind closed doors because sunlight and exposure is exactly what they fear the most. Every single person involved in this system, from the surface level to the darkest basements of DC pizza places, knows exactly how dark and disgusting their actions are. It is the most horrible example of the pizza place thing. It's very funny, right? I don't know if anybody got that, but it's... That was a good joke. It is the most horrible example of the most basic concept that you can see even in your daily life. If you are afraid to be caught or seen doing something, you probably shouldn't be doing it. And I have, man, it kind of feels shitty now, but I guess before I make this point, I will elaborate. Part of what I want to do with this new stream is, as I've talked about politics for almost 2 hours now, that's awesome. I want to lean out of politics. I don't want to talk just about politics all the time. I want to talk also about some more personal stuff and kind of lean a little bit more into the SOS ID type stuff that we were doing before. It is going to take me some time to really hone that in. You'll see that this feels a lot more ham-fisted of a transition than it did when I was writing it. It's just not as clean, and it feels probably just because of how hard I went into the pain that I didn't read through this as much as I thought I was going to. The point being, I want to talk a little bit more about not just like personal things like my life and like personal details. I mean interpersonal things between our different lives, kind of the way that I operate, some things that I do for myself, some tips, some tricks, some counter manosphere type things. And this, that idea was really cemented for me. I watched, really, really cemented. I was sure that I felt confident about this idea, but then I watched a debate with Myron Gaines, I think is his name, of the Fresh and Fit podcast, and I was so like shockingly unimpressed by him. And if that's what, again, this was just the kind of the final nail. I was really certain about this topic before, this choice before, because we were doing the SOS IDs and stuff like that. But to see that, I was shockingly unimpressed. And to know that there are such an immense amount of young men in particular that are looking up to grown men like that, really fucking scares the shit out of me. So a lot of what we're going to be doing here is kind of counter manosphere, how I know how to be a good man. And I feel confident in that because I figured a lot of this stuff out myself. You know, I haven't been shy on the show before with Colin talking about growing up with just my mom. She was here in the chat earlier, that my dad not really being a part of it. So a lot of this stuff, as far as being an adult, a grown man, I had to start to kind of put together myself. In the pursuit of that, in that journey, I've shared a lot of these things. I'm not even looking at the camera. I'm like looking at my computer. I'm not reading that. I'm thinking. And as Jordan knows, many people who've watched the show, there's the Donovan thing. I should turn this way, and then we'll have a little bit less of that. But in the pursuit of that, I share these things with my friends. I talk to my friends all the time, and I am, you know, at the risk of fucking glazing myself, patting myself on the back, I tend to be highly regarded among them, and I just want to share some of the things that they mention to me that they like, the stuff that people enjoy about that, because it's hard for me to, like, I feel weird saying this right now. It's not necessarily the stuff that I take pride in, but the things that other people have recognized that they find to be helpful and they have mentioned to me that I enjoy. So some observations about the world around me that I think are beneficial, that I benefit from, and I don't want to come off as preachy for any of these things, because I'm not by any means making the argument that I am upholding all of these standards all the time. I'm definitely not. There's going to be a lot of this stuff, any of these things that I say that's like, we should be doing this more often. That I also mean I should be doing that more often. I don't just mean like, hey, everybody listening should be doing this. Also me, because I'm kind of a piece of shit. So this is the ham-fisted transition into something I wrote down a long time ago, which was like being hidden about the things that you're doing, right? There's a guy that I work with. There's two people that I work with that are, they're just shit workers. I'm sure they're fine people. They're absolute dog shit workers. And one of the things that we do, we operate at work out of a large stack of papers, just a big pile of orders. Everybody goes there and they pull off the top of the stack, and it, you know, we make 50, 60 different products there, so it can take time for you to learn how to make all the products and to feel comfortable making them and not ask that many questions and to like operate independently, right? Once you've arrived at that point, just kind of take a little stack off the top, or just take whatever orders off the top, and you move forward. You do it, you cut it, bing, bang, boom, you move on with yourself, right? Early on, you do a thing we call cherry picking. Go through the stack, you're pulling out orders that you know how to cut, things that like are going to work for you, it's going to be okay, doesn't look too hard, doesn't look whatever, you're cherry picking, right? This is a thing that's totally acceptable to do. Totally fine when you're early on, because you're just learning, you're figuring shit out, right? As you move on, man, I took this thing off with hanging my headphones on, it doesn't matter. As you move on, you stop doing that. Like I said, you're just pulling orders off the top. These people, these two guys that I worked with, I don't know if I want to, Porter was one of them. I don't want to call the other guys. He still works there. I call him before, but it doesn't matter. They would they were cherry picking the stack, right? So they would kind of hide it with their body, and so they put the papers in front of them, and like you're kind of like behind them, and they would pull stuff out. But as soon as you walk over, they stop doing it. They just grab the stack orders that they've been pulling and they walk away, right? Then they'll move on with their business. They'll act like they're just pulling it off the top and they'll keep going, right? This is like a really weird deception thing for me. I find it super, super strange. I don't lie about stuff. I don't lie about stuff because it just makes things easier to not lie. I used to lie all of the time. Even when Jordan and I first got together, I was lying about shit, about smoking when I shouldn't be, about wanting to, all kinds of stuff I was lying about. Lying all the time, right? Always lying. Lying. Stealing, lying, doing bad shit up until fucking 19, right? Stealing, doing bad shit up until 19. Just a really fucking piece of shit person, right? In that was lying. And I choose actively every day to make a difficult choice to make my life harder by not lying about things. So it just is beyond me when people choose open deception like this. And so it's a very strange, deceptive behavior to me to do something you know you shouldn't be doing and to like hide it like that. It's just very obvious. It's a giveaway. It's a dead giveaway signal. You also know that you shouldn't be doing this thing because you're hiding, right? If you feel compelled to be hiding your behavior, you shouldn't be doing that thing. That's the lesson that I'm pulling from this little aspect, this ham-fisted transition, that also is obviously representative of these people who are fucking kids, right? If you're hiding what you're doing, you have this whole cabal, this whole structure of blackmail, degeneracy, whatever the fuck is going on here, right? You have all of this going on, hiding where you know that it's evil. You know that it's evil. You can't even argue that you've convinced yourself that it's okay because you know that it's dark. You know that it's evil, even if it's just because we all think that it's evil that aren't involved in it. You know that it's disgusting, that it's the worst fucking thing you could ever do, and that's why you're hiding. That's why you're lying about it. It's fucking gross. So whether it is the worst thing you could ever think of, or it is a super simple fucking thing like hiding the work that you do want to do and don't want to do, if you find yourself ever being deceptive and trying to hide a certain behavior, you shouldn't be doing that thing. You should stop that behavior immediately, remedy that. That's going to add value to your life. It's going to make you a better person to not be having to be deceptive about things that you're doing. You shouldn't be doing it anyway. That's how you know that, because you're fucking lying about it. You shouldn't have to lie about shit that you're doing. I've seen a lot of that. It's an accountability thing. You don't want to be held accountable for the stuff that you're doing, right? And I get it, you know. I understand that. Sup, Vinny? I get it. It's just not a thing that you should be doing. It just doesn't apply to. It's bad news. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. This chat over here. Same concept made people so upset about the Doge, or even the slightest possibility of accountability in what they were doing. It's the understandable human behavior, meaning that I can track the logic, right, and try to how you're doing. That people do what they can get away with. If you're a government worker in charge of funding or something, then maybe you get like a little loose because you know the money needs to be spent, and or else you're not going to get it the next year, right? And really, it isn't real. We talked about that. We know the money isn't real, so you're like, fuck it, what's going to happen, right? Then you end up training somebody, and they learn the same thing, that they're also being loose with their money. So you have more people that are involved in this government service that are all being loose with the money. That's how you have giant swaths of NGOs and LLCs that make up these huge lists of stuff that now it's just a giant bloated mass of money, because for decades now people have been choosing to inflate the amount of money they need to spend. This is just a shitty way to conduct yourself, and it shows a horrible lack of personal accountability, personal standards, and morals. It's the next man. The next whole deal that I have here is about personal standards, and like, no one's coming to save you. I don't know that I want to do that. I think that I want to move on to some fun stuff. and I will talk about some of this other stuff in the next one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a quick break. We're going to do the main shot. I'm going to take a quick break. When I come back, we are going to talk about... We're going to talk about some more fun stuff. I'm going to have you guys help me with the project. I'm sorry, I'm getting in my fucking head again because I'm looking at this shit. We're not going to worry about that. I'm thinking about planning all this stuff. Let me get a sip. We'll restart, and then we'll go.
You will hydrate, you will train, you will adjust to this desert, and you'll hydrate some more.
Okay. I had budgeted, you know, I talked for way longer than I thought I was going to. But that's okay. I'm obviously getting comfortable here. This is the thing I'm happy about. What we're going to do, I have a project that we're going to work on. I have a cooking project that I want you guys to assist me with. So I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to gather my supplies. I'm going to come back. We're going to talk about some fun stuff. We're going to talk about some things that I've been enjoying, some things that I've been watching, and we're going to do this project. So I'll be back in just a few minutes for part 2 of season 2. And we're going to work on something. Thank you very much. I'll be right back. All right. Thank you very much for waiting, for holding, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. I am back. I am thrilled to be here, and I have a special project that I want your help working on. First, I want to explain something. Elaborate on something. I have this problem. I am such a fucking fantastic writer, and when I take my notes, I don't just make bullet points or whatever things that I can like notes, the keys that I can like look at and know my talking points are, because I'm going to get lost. You've seen that even with what I have here, I get lost. So I end up writing these just like paragraphs, you know, which is essentially a summary of my thoughts. And if I read it, then it's going to give me a good baseline, and if I say it out loud, then it's the same thing, and it'll kind of give me a jumping off point to go from there. But I can't read this and look in the camera at the same time and also sound normal because I'm a shitty actor. But I like always want to, and then I'm just unprepared. And that's what happened at the very beginning of the show, is that I'm like, well, now I'm trying to read this and I'm trying to do this, but I'm fucking up this, and but I want to talk and I want to do this. So what I'm going to do, because it's important for this segment, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read what I had prepared for the beginning of the show that I started to look at and then I got nervous about and then I went back and forth on. So I'm going to read this, and then we're going to talk again about this project here. Again, I want to thank you for joining me. Donovan Salt of the Streets, Season 2. Shout the fuck out. So let's get into this, and then we'll dive into our next segment, right? All right, so here's what I had here. And I had like a clip that I was going to play, but I turned it into a drop instead, and the drop was this.
This might sound dumb, but I wanted it to like be art. This might sound dumb, but I wanted it to like be art.
So that's the drop, right? We're going to talk more about that guy later on, but I wanted to play this clip, right? And I never understood art or the subjectivity of it, and I still really don't, but I do see how eating Taco Bell for 30 days is art, and that's what this is to me. I deeply enjoyed what we were doing before, but not the way that we were doing it. The world of politics is a centuries-old kettle filled with shit that seems to be boiling over. The fumes and smog that the spillage creates when exposed to open flame is noxious, and I can't stand to be around it. The people I'm willing to debate or discuss politics with shrinks all the time. Some aspects of that world still matter to me, but if you aren't operating in a certain frequency on that level like we're talking about, I'm unwilling to engage with you about it, but we're going to get back more on that later, which we did, right? I am back because I finally have something to say. I felt it boiling up inside of me for a while, and I just didn't quite know what to do about it. So here we finally are. I am here because of Red Bar and the guys in the same place that I was in 15 years ago. I'm here because of people like Shane Powers and Mike Davis for completely different reasons. I'm here because I literally don't know what else to do. We're going to do politics. We're going to talk about culture. We're going to talk about pushing ourselves and fine-tuning ourselves to be the best that we can be and still be tolerable to be around, even though I can't fully verify that I actually am tolerable to be around. I am aiming to avoid additional vanity because I'm getting fucking jacked. Like I showed earlier, it's a problem. So post and ghost is the goal. I'm not going to try, and what I'm talking about, the goal for this show, I'm not going to run through the comments. I'm not going to like focus on them. I really don't want to read them at all. I'm not going to try and make clips. I'm not going to go about this in the traditional way to like grow this channel. I'm not trying to make a ton of shorts. I'm not trying to make a ton of clips. I'm not trying to do any of that shit. I'm trying to make a stream, talk about the shit that I care about, and get the fuck out. That's what I'm doing this for. It's not because I want to continue to make myself feel better. It's not any of that stuff. This is not a vanity show for me as I sit and talk on the internet by myself. I don't want it to be that. So I'm not going to focus on that. I'm not going to do those things. I don't want to change who I am. Who I am is what is great, and it is exactly what you're going to see on this show. Today is the first day of Season 2, and it's going to be an amazing show. We won't spend much time here, but we will start with what we know and talk some politics. We are going to cover an extensive list of other topics, like talk about media, magic, meat, metabolic activity, and organization. Okay, so that's what I have prepared for that part of the show, right? So at the beginning of the show, or just now, I gave a shout out to Mike Davis. Right? Mike Davis is the host and the creator of Red Bar radio. He is easily the coolest fucking guy that I've ever seen and one of my personal heroes. His presence, his charisma is what has inspired my return, relit my fire for broadcasting, and much of what we're doing here is modeled after him. I'm actually going to go to redbarradio.com on this other view so that you guys can see it, because he's that fucking cool. He's just he's incredible. I found him, Red Bar, on a, let's see, it was like a random clip that I got, and I came up on my YouTube. And he was talking about Tom Segura. That was the first time that I saw him. He was talking about Tom Segura and how terrible his special was, and he couldn't believe it. And I thought that that was absolutely fucking delicious. Tom Segura did a special with a bunch of other people that he, just one second, what was it? It was like a fake news broadcast. And so when they did this fake news broadcast thing, they charged money for it and kept it behind the paywall. I think it might still be behind the paywall. And it sucked. And so Red Bar covered that. And it was delicious. So now we're going to take a look at Red Bar. I'm like almost hesitant to do this because I don't want to fucking, I do and don't want to blow his shit up too much. But Red Bar is just the coolest fucking guy I've ever seen on my whole planet. This is his set right here. Give it a year. Red Bar. The Scars Club is the deal. This is obviously abiding his fucking style. You could see this is Red Bar. He's the coolest guy I've ever seen in my entire life. Mike Davis. And I can barely stand it. So yeah, the first clip that I saw of him was just on YouTube, and I've seen him a million times since then. I am part of the Scars Club. I paid the $11 a month. It is worth it. He valued his own shows at $200 a show this last episode. It was fantastic. So I can't shout him out enough. Red Bar is the OG comedy thrasher. So if you have seen any of these other channels, Too Lazy to Try, Podcast Cringe, Elephant Graveyard, Comedy Enforcement, all of these things, these are all modeled after Red Bar. Red Bar has been doing this for like 20 years. He's been on radio. He was on Opie and Anthony different times. Like he's been deeply involved in the comedy world for a very, very long time. I am still trying to fully understand like the entirety of the Red Bar lore because there's a ton going on here. As you can see, the man himself, there is a ton going on here. The hair is perfect. Look at the set, the glasses, everything in here is just so. It's very particular. The Epstein files, the necklace. I mean, it's all very, very, very specific. You can see most of the shit that he talks about. I have no fucking idea. A lot of the people he talks about, he's been beefing with them for years and years, and I don't know who they are, but I will still watch him for 10 hours, 11 hours. That's how long the last episode was like 11 hours. It'll tell us 10 hours, 17 minutes. It's a wonderful thing. Sorry about that. It's a wonderful thing that he's doing over there, and I can't thank him enough. So like I said, if you've seen any of these other channels, Too Lazy to Try, Podcast Cringe, Elephant Graveyard, they're all modeling themselves after what he is doing, that he is attacking directly all of the comedians that we love so much and exposing them for the dog shit that they are creating and what they have become. I take a slight amount of pride in this because I did discuss this some time ago. The comedy podcast is being dead, saying that they are over, right? So let's see. I think I have this. I do. I have the clip. We're gonna watch it. We're gonna watch me be right about this because it's a pretty disgusting thing that we've been seeing. I'm not gonna like get into this vein. I just want to discuss it for a second. I'm not even close to as good as Elephant Graveyard, Too Lazy to Try, any of these guys. I've actually just recently found out about Elephant Graveyard, and yo, his shit's crazy. Those videos are absolutely insane. The most recent one that he did was about Joe Rogan and like how comedy had been taken over by you know, reality. I mean, a reality bending mind cult. It's some insane shit. You really should check it out. It was beautiful. It's like just over an hour long, that Elephant Graveyard video. It's absolutely the editing on it, fucking impeccable. I've never seen anything like it. The editing on it is really
the streets.
it's busy.
I'm happy to see you.
all
I know
the
that it's been a
time,
while. It's been
and
a
not
few
like
weeks since
overly
we
busy
posted.
like
I posted.
sorry, not like overly busy like Coco Melon or some shit like that. But it is. There's just always something happening. There's always something happening on the screen that is visually pleasing. It's really pretty cool. Okay, 55, 50. So we're gonna go here. This is me talking about comedians, comedy podcasts. The shit being dead, and then we'll talk a little bit more about some of these other people. Have some clips, and we'll talk about those things while I introduce my project to you.
You are promoting, you are propagating this culture by paying women like this, by paying people like this. It doesn't matter if it's Andrew Tate or if it's this woman Blair, whatever, right? You are doing this to yourselves. You're making these things worse. This is a fucking problem. I'm identifying a lot of problems in social media and culture that problems for me, things I don't enjoy, right? Things I don't like. And I identified a problem with podcasts, and I want to talk about it here because I think it's great. We've touched on it a few times, and it really hit home for me earlier this week. And I had written down a couple of different ways, and I'm still not sure exactly what it is, but I think we need to return, this is the best way I'm going to put it out, I think we need to return the artists to their respective art, right? Art is blowing up right now. People are all over the place. They're creating things. It's incredible, right? There's a huge amount of creativity that's going on right now. One of the issues that I am having, and I have discussed on the show before, is the oversaturation of the podcast market, right? This is one of the reasons that we are, quote unquote, getting out of this. We're not going to be doing as much.
To be fair, I'm not podcasting anymore. I'm only streaming now. I don't know how much of a difference that actually makes, but this is the only place you can watch this until I get my own website and do all that shit. I have my own website, but I'm not set up to stream on it and host it and do all that stuff. That's what Red Bar does, which is fire, playing music, doing his own shit. It's the only honest way to avoid any of this bullshit. We'll talk about that when we get on the lying about censorship and all that type of stuff. But it's pretty beautiful. But yeah, to be fair, I'm not podcasting anymore.
Podcasting, we're doing some other type of content, and that I still don't want to get too far ahead on, but we will be live streaming and stuff like that and still be doing some podcasts, but we're going to be switching out of that being our primary mode of communication with you guys. And part of this is because I think that this is switching to not a dead medium, but the growth is gone. The growth thing where people are going to be making it and getting big, and like that's how they're going to be changing and finding their way in life through podcasting. I think that time is done, right? You can scroll through YouTube. I get them all the time, random ones that are just dudes getting together to bullshit in their basement to make a podcast that, you know, if enough people think that they're funny, then they're going to be able to make a living off this, and it's going to be fucking great.
I still see this all the time. Getting random fucking podcasts that are like episodes that are 3 weeks old. They have 90 views. That's just 3 fucking guys sitting on couches, holding microphones with 2 hands like Shane Gillis, trying to be fucking funny. Stop this shit. This is no longer the way to get famous. This has got to stop. It's got to be over. I've had enough of this shit. I've had enough of this shit.
This might sound dumb, but I wanted it to like be art.
One of these days that drop is going to play on time and it's going to be fucking beautiful. But I've had enough of this shit. It like would drive me crazy. In the time that Colin and I were doing the show together, I knew probably 3 or 4 people that started podcasts. And they were like, it's going to be sick. And it just would make me fucking mad. It would make me so fucking mad because I was spending so much of my time to try and live my dream. And there was like a joke to them. It was like a hobby that they were doing on the side sometimes. And they were going to buy all this stuff because the barrier to entry was so low. They're going to spend $200. They're going to get a mic and like some basic stuff. They're going to have to start getting into editing. They're going to hate editing. And they're like, man, this sucks. It's really not worth it. I don't want to deal with this anymore. Every single person that I knew outside of myself that started a podcast went through that exact same cycle. Just fuck off. Just fucking stop it. Not everyone is cool. Not everyone is fucking funny. Not everyone is interesting. I don't even think I'm cool. I'm not funny. I'm kind of interesting. I think I make good points. I yell a lot. I sound interesting. I just don't get it. Not everyone needs to fucking be on the internet like that. That's a huge problem with the internet. Everybody thinks they're fucking important. We all know that. I'm not going to get into it. So, but that's what gets us to this point. With the comedy podcast to the everyday people podcast, that comedians, everybody has a podcast, every comedian has a podcast, and it just becomes an ecosystem where they just go on everybody's podcast over and over and over again. And here I talk about Theo Von, and it was like Ian Finance at the time or something, and they go on 90 fucking podcasts, and you hear the same fucking stories, the same conversations. They're spaced out a little bit because some people are recording their shit like 2 months in advance. It's fucking boring. It's fucking boring, and they're charging people for it. That's how they're all making money. They're also touring. They're just raping people for money, and it's fucking gross. And I'm really like sick of watching it. And it feeds into this discussion about like this new mainstream thing. And I kind of think that I pulled a clip. We'll see. You have the Tim Dillon interview. I don't think that I have like a timestamp from it, which was a mistake, but maybe I do somewhere. It would be foolish if I didn't. I have to have a timestamp somewhere. It's got to be written down upstairs. It's got to be. You have to give me one. I forgot something upstairs anyway. Give me 1 minute of a break. I'll be right back. I'm back. I got it. I got my stuff. Okay. So we can talk about Tim Dillon. He did see an interview where he talked about that they're not the new mainstream and like that's stupid gatekeeping. Yeah. 32? Man, my handwriting fucking sucks. That's what we get, huh? So Tim Dillon did this interview, so fucking funny, with CNN, where they talked about Joe Rogan and all these comedy podcasts, and they debated whether or not they were the new mainstream, and it's like it was interesting to watch just the way that they argued it, because they're kind of almost talking like two different languages. She's talking political and he's talking political, and that's why they're both wrong. But well, I guess maybe they're not speaking two different languages. They don't really understand each other, or because she's picking up on something that is cultural, but is trying to make it political. And he's only viewing it as political because that's the only way that she's discussing it. And that's kind of where this blows up, in my opinion. She's not stupid. This woman, whatever, Elle Reeve, she used to be with Vice. We've seen her before. She's not a bad reporter, but she doesn't do a good job here. And she's quickly defeated by no. She's quickly defeated by Tim Dillon. So 20 minutes. We're going to watch this, and while this plays and we discuss it, before we play it, we're going to talk about this project. I've been wanting ribs lately. I probably should have decided you.
Imagine being able to build anything just by...
Okay,
Well, we're gonna let that ad go. I gotta sign into the other shit on here. Okay. Okay, so I've been wanting ribs lately. My wife loves ribs. I've been wanting ribs. And I cooked up a real fucking mean rib rub a while ago. And I don't know what happened to it. I thought that I had a container of it that I was actually going to use to do another program where we were going to try and do the best that we could to recreate it. We were going to mimic it. We were going to take all the ingredients that I have here, which if we do the side shot, you can see them. I have a lot of ingredients. I have a lot of stuff. I have a lot of brown sugar. I have some salt, some onion powder, some paprika, some garlic powder, some mustard. I have some cayenne pepper, black pepper, a little bit of cumin. Well, I have a lot of cumin, but that's for upstairs too. With things going on that I made these fucking beautiful. This is what I was going to talk about. These fucking arrayas that I made. I went Middle Eastern. Guys, look how cultured I am. Give me just 1 second. I'll send them over. Boom. Share. How is that even going to work? More. Maybe. Nice. Well, maybe. Maybe. Duplicate. No. Well, we'll have to fucking see. I might just have to fucking... Oh. Retard. I'm making this like so difficult for myself. It's crazy. Boom. Boom. Okay. I made these things. Of course, it's going to take a second for it to send. Or if I actually fucking send it, then it might work. Okay, anyway, cumin. We'll pull up the array of things that I made. We're going to make some ribs. So I'm going to make a rib rub. And I want you guys to help me with it. I have a basic recipe that we're going to go off of. And then I have this other shit. And I just remember that I used another rub last time. And everyone thought that it was too spicy. So we are going to have to base this in brown sugar. So that's what we're going to do. And while we are making this, SOS After Dark, Zeke, yeah! Yes, SOS After Dark from now on forever. Unfortunately, Larry has Shabbat, so Larry's not here. I gotta get a knife. All my kit's right here. So that means there's gonna be a multi-tool. Excuse me, you guys are probably looking at my ass. My juicy buns, because I've been working the fuck out. If I can get this multi-tool out of my kit, the fuck? There, Jesus Christ. Okay, hopefully you guys can still hear me that whole time. Okay, so I've been getting fucking jacked. I've been going to the gym. Why did I talk about this? Why did I mention it? Here's the arrayas. Article view. They were goddamn delicious. This is some Middle Eastern shit that had like cumin and cinnamon and parsley and cilantro and garlic, and I put a shallot in there. It was great. If I wanted an onion, I just put a shallot in there instead. It was fucking delicious. I made several of them. This is the other, they're crispy, they're in a pita. It was fire. Face down in the pan, and then on either side, Colin, you would be fucking absolutely thrilled. It was incredible. Okay, so we're gonna make this rib rub, right? Talking about getting jacked. Doesn't matter. We're making this. So we're gonna watch this Tim Dillon interview while we make this rib rub. And we're gonna talk about it at the same time. So yeah, the last time that I made a rib rub, I know that it had a lot of paprika in it, and that's what this one is based in, this new recipe. 8 teaspoons of smoked paprika, tablespoons, is the base. But I'm going to base it in brown sugar instead. I'm going to do at least twice as much because, yeah, the last time there was like a lot of paprika, a lot of cayenne in it too, which made them real spicy. I really enjoyed them. I thought they were fucking delicious. And so did everybody else. They just felt like they were too spicy. It's a very white family that I have, and so we got to make sure that we're hitting these things the right way. I really thought we probably threw it away because it's been like 2 fucking years since I made ribs. But I got my smoker cleaned out.
Supposed to be getting a new smoker for my boss. I'm just lazy as fuck and I have not gone to get it. I honestly keep fucking forgetting about it. So the last time that I made ribs, yeah, I thought I had a container, a small one left that was maybe going to do 1 rack of ribs. And I was then going to do another competition to rub 1 rack with this old rub and then use the new rub for the other 2, because typically when you get ribs from Safe or from Costco, they come in a 3-pack. So now that I've opened and closed this knife 30 fucking times, we will pull one of the actual blades out, swing, without cutting ourselves. We've got this, guys. There it is. Okay, paprika. We didn't bring any measuring cups down here, of course. We're just kind of going to eyeball this, all right? Just so everyone knows. We're going to eyeball it. We're going to open up our containers. I brought those gloves down here that you guys saw so that we can do a little bit of hand mixing. So we're going to open up our spices. Oh, let's let Tim Dillon talk while we do this. Come back over. Boop. Boop. Article view. Okay, we'll listen to Tim Dillon talk for a minute and then we'll stop. I am going to be listening. I do have my notes up. It's all here. Don't you guys worry your pretty little heads. Don't need that right now. I do need my notes though. Do need those up. We're going to have that. We're going to have that. All right, that's perfect. Let's let Tim Dillon talk.
He's been out there saying these same things for a very long time.
But I ask because,
Yeah.
do you feel like you're part of a new establishment that's being created?
I don't think I'm part of a new establishment. I think it would be pretty difficult to look at these podcasts. I know it's a popular thing right now, especially in certain media circles, to say that after running an incredibly unpopular candidate who was introduced very late in the race because an elderly man who could not be the president, who everyone told was functioning as the president for 4 years, decided to, this wind is wild, huh?
Yeah.
See? But this was a very specific circumstance in which Kamala Harris ran for the presidency.
Yeah.
She was somewhat unpopular, and she was not a star in Democratic politics before this at all. And
Also
her
true.
communication strategy was pretty weak. I think most people have admitted that. So to hang this defeat all on a few podcasts and to say that they were the problem, I just don't buy the narrative. So I don't think I'm a new establishment. If you weigh, again, a few comedians with podcasts versus all of the people that supported Kamala Harris, you know, Democrat donors, billionaires, big people. If the idea is that me and a few comedians have more power than multi-billionaires, huge media institutions, a whole political party apparatus, I just don't think most people are going to buy that. I think it seems like a great way to excuse running an unpopular candidate on a platform that American people weren't sold on.
I think even beyond politics, though, even beyond the question of the election, like, again, I know the, like, liberal Joe Rogan conversation is so dominant, and I think not.
The next thing on the list is kosher salt. And I got a bunch of this delicious Himalayan pink salt, and we're going to use that instead. Keep listening. So this is important, right? What they're talking about, the structure, new establishment, right? They're talking purely politically because it's CNN. So that's of course what they're going to be talking about, right? It's of course where they're coming from. But it's like this interesting kind of counterpoint that's being made. Okay, cool. As long as I'm still kind of on the camera. I moved it up a little bit so you guys can kind of see. It's an interesting point that's being made because, no, of course, politically, they're not making the difference. We talked about earlier, I'm sure you guys can hear all of this, said eyeballing everything. We're just absolutely going for it. We talked earlier in the show about how they got used, right? We just didn't even like realize what was going. Maybe we haven't discussed that yet, but they were used, right? And they're kind of having to cope with it a little bit now that they just are not as smart as they thought that they were, that they allowed like Donald Trump and different politicians to come on their show and use their platform the way that they wanted, and then convince them and everyone else that they were cool, and then walk away and do whatever they want. Because we're seeing now, right? Like I said, I even watched those. I watched the Joe Rogan. I watched the Andrew Schultz. I watched all that shit. It's like, damn, he is fucking funny. He is fucking cool, right? But look what we have now. Look what's happened to us. Look what we've done to ourselves. It's ridiculous, right? So I'll read what we have some of this here. Let's see. The top 250 as the okay, so yes, Podcast Cringe has a whole deal about it, like the top 250 best comedians in the world, because Joe Rogan says that there's like 250 killers, right? The 250, as Podcast Cringe calls them, are in fact part of the mainstream. They fled from California to New York on their to their and to their credit, created a new hub for their art. But at the point where you have specials as on big streamers, selectively edited to get YouTube revenue, and have literal members of government on your pods, then you have to admit that you are shills, and you can't call it anything other than mainstream, right? Of course, that's kind of the point that I'm making. They're talking about how they're not an establishment, but it gets crossed over with them saying that they're not mainstream, right? They're not the new mainstream. We're not the new mainstream because we're not on CNN. We're not doing any of this other stuff, right? We're not mainstream. How can you call it anything other than mainstream? Because I think they're the same. I think they're just the comedians are using it as a convenient excuse to avoid the idea that they might actually be the new comedy power structure. Right? Not political, of course not political, because they got fucking used. We just talked about that. Donald Trump went on there, he said whatever he wanted. JD Vance went on there, he said whatever he wanted. They've had any number of politicians on their podcast, Joe Rogan in particular, just doesn't give a fuck, right? So I just put some pepper in there, by the way. That was the next thing. We're gonna go with a little bit of ground mustard next. So yeah, they're correct that they're not the political establishment. That would be fucking ridiculous. He goes on, he's like, we're not, do you think that we're the CIA? Well, let's watch a little bit more and we'll talk a little bit more about it, because I think that he does mention that. We'll go back to the article view.
Like, nuanced enough. But there is power in a massive audience.
There's absolutely power in a massive audience, but if you're saying that power is equal to the CIA, or all of these other people that have been very critical of President Trump, right?
Yeah.
So the idea that the power that Theo Von has would be equal to like the intelligence agencies or these massive legacy media institutions seems crazy.
But you got way more audience than when you're saying we don't have power, we're not the CIA. Well, there's some gradations between that, and also I'm sure there's like.
Well, just you use the word establishment.
Yeah.
I didn't say that we didn't have any power or that audiences weren't powerful. But when you use the term establishment, I think that's more than just having an audience. That's having an institutional component that I don't think we have. But I think legacy media does. I think the government and the intelligence communities do. I think Hollywood certainly does. And I think all of those people, all of those power factions have worked together for a very, very, very long time. So to say that a few comedians with podcasts equal that seems crazy.
I see why
me.
Okay, I understand.
That's the only thing I'm saying.
It's like, I guess like new establishment is kind of a term of art within old media, and maybe I'm not using that in a clear way, but it's like, this is the place to go to address Americans.
I certainly think it's becoming a place, and it should be a place, that a candidate should sit for a 2-hour interview with Joe Rogan. Why not?
Okay, and this is where the crossover comes in, right? They're arguing that they're not the new establishment. Of course, they're not the new political establishment, but they are part of the new mainstream, and at the very least, establishment adjacent, because he's making the same argument that she is right now, that politicians are now supposed to be going onto these podcasts, according to comedians, according even to most of us, right? Because at the base, he's saying, should they come in and have a 2-hour conversation? Of course they should. And that's because we all said that, right? When Donald Trump went on Joe Rogan and went on these podcasts, this is actually a good thing because they're showing us by the fact that they can sit down and have a 2-hour conversation that they are normal people. Because Kamala Harris couldn't do that. There's like probably most politicians couldn't do that because they would crack. They would start to explode. We would see precisely how fake they are. Donald Trump was able to fake that for X amount of time, right? For however long, he's able to continue to convince us that he's a real person and that he's not a piece of shit, or, you know, however you want to say it, because he is a piece of shit, but kind of convince us that he's real. He was able to do that on Joe Rogan, and it was like a little bit weird, you know, because like I said, that was part of the deal that tricked us. So this is what we're working with. I can kind of show you guys with all the stuff in here. Oh, I got to put a little bit of cayenne pepper, a little bit of heat. Okay, so that's kind of like what we were. Ooh, the lid's gonna break off this. The cayenne for some spice. Yeah. Because we enjoyed that. We enjoyed that they could go on these podcasts and they talked for 2 hours and we got to kind of see who they were, because we thought that we were breaking through the bullshit, right? We were wrong. So this is where these things cross over, that they have in fact taken over this comedic mainstream, where they no longer need Comedy Central or anybody else to come along and to make their specials for them. They're doing it themselves. They released them on YouTube for a long time, and they did that stuff. This is not going to be enough fucking rub. I'm going to have to make way more. Well, it might be enough for like 1 round, but it's going to be close. I like to put a lot of rub on the ribs. Heavy rub, low and slow. Nice couple hours, super fucking low. I gotta look up my recipe again because I have like all the times and stuff written down somewhere. I haven't smoked in a couple years, but nice and fucking low, right? And then finish them off high after you sauce them and wrap them. So, new mainstream. Okay, yes. So they escaped Hollywood. This is what I was saying in this thing that I wrote here. They escaped Hollywood. They made it to Austin, Texas. To their credit, they did create an industry there that they could again capitalize on. What's up, John? Yes, I've waited a long time for SOS Return. No, we're fucking back, baby. We are making rubs and breaking shit down. To their credit, they did go there and make an industry. It's now oversaturated, just like the podcast market was, partially due to the way that they handled things, right? So now that they've done that, so they did YouTube for a couple of years. They were willing to give up that base revenue because Comedy Central was turning to shit, and they knew that, and they were willing to be okay with that. They're willing to give up that revenue to make the ticket revenue when they went out and they were touring, and they would kind of grow their names and stuff. They've now escaped this point where you are talking about Tom Segura, Joe Rogan, enormous comedians having huge deals with the different streamers, right? That's mainstream. We will all agree, nobody watches cable anymore. Nobody gives a shit. So that's where you're going. That's where people are going to learn things. The people are going to get their entertainment is on the different streaming platforms. It smells pretty good. It's a little bit, the lights in here are fucked, so it's kind of hard for me to, it's pretty all right. I think I need a little bit more paprika. Need to add some more body to it. Need a little more paprika. Okay, I'm going with this and then we'll see where we're at next, right? So now that they're on Netflix, they have their own platforms. It's official. You're back to the mainstream. He's now making the argument, making the second half of this argument, that they are mainstream to the point that they have power, right? They do have some level of political influence. It is not the level that Elle Reeves, is arguing for, but they do have enough political power that it makes sense that someone would come on to their shows and talk to them, a political person, a candidate would come on to their shows and talk to them if they're trying to reach the people. You are, in fact, mainstream. You are, in fact, part of the establishment. There is no arguing against that. You're lying to yourself if you think that you're not. And that's like this weird middle ground that he's playing. It's like, oh, do we have power? Do we have this? Yeah, that's fine. You're part of the establishment, dog. You are taking over that media wing where you're saying You're arguing all the time that people like El Reeves, their outfit, CNN, is no longer legitimate. That people don't give a fuck about them anymore. And so people are trying to find ways to get around them. You said that you think that it's sad, which I agree, and not in like a denigrative way, that it's sad that people are coming to your show to get information because you're a dog shit comedian. There are a few people, Tim Dillon being one of them, that kind of cross this bounds, but outside of that, a bound of comedy into like shit that they know about, right? They're not part of this weird political establishment that CNN and others claim because they were all taken advantage of by the Republicans. Maybe 2 or 3 comedians have enough actual political knowledge to navigate the world and not be totally raped by the people running it. And that's what I'm saying. Like Tim Dillon, Bill Maher, obviously, I mean, he's like pretty much a comedian. And in the sense that he like still tours and stuff like that. Dave Smith obviously is very funny, he tours, but also, I mean, you could argue he's at least 50-50 in the world of politics and comedy. And I'm not shitting on him, I'm not taking shots at him, but that's, I think, just the reality that he is a comedian. He's also deeply ingrained in the world of politics that you'd have to argue if they're talking about running for president, you're not just a fucking comedian, right? If you're deeply ingrained in one of the parties, you're not just a comedian. You are a comedian. I think that you're very funny. You're not just a comedian, though. So maybe 2 or 3 comedians have enough actual political knowledge to navigate it. Everyone else was used like an object, right? Joe Rogan, everybody else. And if their numbers stay up, or maybe even if they go down, then the same thing is going to happen in 26 and 28. And we are going to be fucking retarded. And they're going to do it because we and they are fucking retarded. Right? Because we're gonna eat it up again. When the midterms come around and they're trying to get some more numbers and they're trying to boost their polling, they're gonna go back on the podcasts, they're gonna try and make the run again, and if people don't keep their fucking wits about them, then they're gonna get fooled just like before. It's gonna be disgusting. Tim Dillon is definitely right in the interview that the corporate media blaming comedians and poor dumb Americans for the Trump victory is a sad attempt to cope and disassociate with the reality of the state of the Democratic Party. But there was a little bit of this post-mortem that seemed like it might be fruitful for them, but it's like for the Democrats, but it's like essentially turned into what she's doing now, where they're just blaming people. The Democrats have to take responsibility for the position they put themselves in. For a very long time, comedians used their career as a cover to be able to make political points and either be wrong or sound stupid and then just walk away. Joe Rogan is like one of the worst about this, that, you know, he will sit on a show and like talk and then be like, oh, but I'm just a fucking comedian, don't listen to me. You know, like especially during COVID, I'm not, whatever. I know that is a reality. He did do that. He was saying things that people are taking in medical advice and be like, well, I'm just a fucking comedian. Why would anybody listen to me? That would be retarded, right? Yeah, absolutely. That stops working when you start having serious conversations with serious people. Even if you are goofy or you're entering into the arena and that begins to remove that armor that you walk around with. So even though they're talking about how they're not political, they're whatever. When you're having Steve Bannon on, when you're having fucking Peter Thiel on, Mark Andreessen, I think those are some of the examples that she gives. When you're having people like that on, you're not just a comedian anymore, dog. You've moved past that realm. You are now firmly in the realm of something other than that. It's this weird gray area that like is fine if you want to. It's fine if you do whatever, but you're giving up some of that armor, that cover, if that's what you're doing. I'm not gonna continue to buy that the same way that I was before. That like, oh well, fuck it, he's just crazy, right? It's not the same as like. That's the beauty of like a Red Bar, Lemon Party. Tuesdays with Stories. These are a couple of, like, Red Bar is not a comedy podcast at all, but Tuesdays with Stories and Lemon Party are 2 definitely comedy podcasts, and it's just jokes. It's just bullshit, because that's what's supposed to be happening. That is what a comedy podcast is supposed to be, is just bullshit. Just hilarity. This smells pretty fucking good. This smells pretty, it's nice, it's super duper sticky, which is kind of what I'm going for. That's what the wife likes. Super duper sticky. It's real sweet, but I can smell the pepper. It makes my stomach like this. That's how I know that there's spice in it.
You will hydrate, you will train, you will adjust to this desert, and you'll hydrate some more.
So I think we'll call it good. It's hard to tell by the smell, but I'm like, it smells pretty good. It's definitely a lot of brown sugar, but like I said, that's kind of what I'm going for. We could make it a little bit more red, I think, because I added more brown sugar. I just don't want to go too crazy. I can always add more spice, you know, is like the thing about this. I can always add more. I can add some hot honey, or I can add a little bit of spicy sauce in with the sweet sauce. I've been fucking with a lot of hot honey lately. It's pretty awesome. Just threw away that glove. All right, I got one more that we can mix up with. So, okay. So, let us continue. That is the beauty of a Tim Dillon or Dave Smith, right? Dillon is able to make a decent political point while weaving in elements of like deeply ludicrous, which helps drive home the comedy of even his more serious stuff, you know? He will still do like a 10-minute bit about fucking whatever, people dying and just really dumb shit that is like, okay, this is understandable, but again, it's the same deal that he's sitting down with fucking Steve Bannon, like things like this, right? These things matter. It matters. Even if you're being mad fucking jokey about it, it matters. They have to take responsibility for the position they put themselves in for, yeah, I just talked about this. I'm a comedian. Part of the beauty of a Dave Smith or blah, 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 blah. Dave Smith, right? Dave Smith is, I think, a very good example also with the separation because he has two very different podcasts. He has Legion of Skanks that he does with Louis J. Gomez and with Big J. Okerson. And that is the same deal. It is a deeply ludicrous podcast. It's extremely offensive, you could call it. It's dark, it's horrible. They've got a baby that's painted in blackface on the front of their table. It's some wild shit, right? And then he has another podcast that's called Part of the Problem. And that is like a purely political podcast. He sometimes makes some jokes in there, but it's all... oh, there's no cumin in here. I forgot to put the motherfucking cumin in here. What am I doing? Let's see. Both are taking responsibility for working in their arenas and putting themselves out for the real criticism, right? Let's be clear. Before I move on, I'm not saying they should stay in their lane because they can do whatever they want. I'm into it. I like the stuff they do. I think Tim Dillon and Dave Smith are both very, very, very funny people. Excuse me. And I'm going to give Tim Dillon some credit for doing the CNN interview because that in and of itself is taking responsibility. I'm using it as like a semi-loose term because again, I don't like he didn't do anything wrong, but he's taking responsibility and also separates himself and the other big podcasters from any real influence by trying to compare them to the CIA or their political partners, which like no one is doing that except for CNN, and that's fucking retarded. You know, we all agree that that's fucking retarded. Andrew Schultz straight up complained about being used after calling himself and begging to be considered a journalist, right? That he's like, I'm a political journalist, and then he's doing like a New York Times fucking article about how he might be the new mainstream. I mean, that's, what the fuck do you want? You know, absolutely, what the fuck do you want? Or the cumin is mad strong. Oh, I still have the lid off of it. That might be part of it. I'm like, damn, the cumin's mad strong. And it is, but also, boop, boop, boop. There we go. Okay, let's see if I can get you guys a better, I don't know how well, oh, over here. Oh, here, well, let me switch back. This one has the ring camera on it. The main shot. This can get a little, not bad. You can see the salt in there. Still pretty brown, which is good. It's good, but I can smell the cumin. I can definitely smell a little bit of the pepper in there, a little bit of the spice. I think this would be a decent way to start. And I can always put some more brown sugar on the actual ribs if they smell too flippin' spicy or whatever. But I think this would be okay, dude. It's like mostly brown sugar. It's super sticky. It's mad sweet. You can clump it together. This is mostly brown sugar. It's gotta still be sweet. It's gotta. The cumin's just the last thing I put in there. That's all. I don't know if you guys have any recommendations or anything about this rib rub. I don't know how much you guys know about fucking rib rubs, about queuing, about smoking, right? So again, this Andrew Schultz thing, it's just a bit much. They're gonna keep doing this shit as long as the other comedians are. Bert and Tom, Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura, they just came back and from like a 6-week break, and they're like acknowledging how dog shit their podcast is because people hated it. They just talked shit about them the whole time. They had Stavi and Chris DiStefano host their pod for them while they were gone. Just dropped some trash on the ground, hot, and they just literally talked shit about them the entire time, and people loved it. So that's the same. It just goes back to what I was saying. I cannot recommend Red Bar enough. We don't deserve him. We don't need to do everything. We need to do everything that we can to protect him. Josh Denny's going to kill him any day now. Josh Denny's the guy that he really fucking hates. So Red Bar, I cannot speak in favor enough. I was going to talk about this media company. I'd have to look them up on Twitter. I think I'll just tell the story. It's called Sorry Not Sorry News. SORI, like like the way the Canadians say sorry. And I'll tell this story as a transition as I move on to the next thing. I'm going to clean up some of this stuff while I tell the story. So Sorry Not Sorry News. I was watching YouTube, and I'll look at, oh, that's what I'll do. I'll look it up on YouTube when we're done, because we're done with this thing. So I'll end, and we'll look up one of their ads. So I got an ad for them using the Canadian VPN, just like I was showing you guys earlier, right? I use Surfshark, not an ad, and nor for any of these spices, even though they are mostly from Winco. Shout out Winco, not an ad. Sorry Not Sorry News. So I was using my Canadian VPN so that I can watch cool stuff, and also I get different ads, and they're kind of funny. Sometimes, though, you get ones that are creepy. So I got an ad that was a completely AI news ad. And I know that because I'm fucking 30, because I've been alive for all these things to come out. And it was like one of the creepiest things I've ever seen. The girl was AI, the writing was AI, and then I went to the YouTube channel, and everything on the YouTube channel was AI. Like, you could tell that even the description of everything was AI, and it was really, really fucking weird. And I've just never experienced anything like that before. And it was right after it was right when we started the 12 Days War, or whatever they're calling it now. And this AI woman is talking about how Iran just launched the clapback of the century. Thank God. They only have 152 subs. Thank God. 152 subs. And so the woman, the ad was like about how they just did the clapback of the century. Iran did, and America wasn't ready for like what they were going to do. It was fucking really weird, just the way that it was being pitched. And it was like pro-Iranian propaganda in the middle of the United States, and but coming from Canada. So let's see. Here, we'll go to the article view so you guys can see this shit too. Maybe. I get too much shit plugged in. Breaking news, unfiltered. Hilarious. There we go. Article view. Okay, so this is Sorry Not Sorry News. Welcome to Sorry Not Sorry News, where pop culture meets policy with a side of sass. We're the unapologetically Canadian voice breaking down the news you care about, from Parliament to pop stars, protest to paparazzi. Expect sharp takes, spicy commentary, and enough neon attitude to light up your feed. Whether it's a political scandal, viral moment, or cultural controversy, we spill the tea. Really sorry. I hope that's like horribly inappropriate. I didn't realize the camera was... Anyway, new videos weekly. Sub if you're not afraid of the truth, or a little sarcasm, because if you're not laughing, you're probably crying. So you can tell this is AI. Like, this whole thing was written by, just the way that it's worded, it's written by AI. I'm hesitant to play one of the videos. I wonder if I can find the one that I watched. Middle East on Fire. Maybe that's it. Should we Let's watch it. I want you guys to see it because it's fucking weird.
In geopolitics, most moves are subtle, a sneaky handshake here, a proxy war there, but every now and then, someone flips the game board, flips the table, and probably flips the bird while they're at it.
So you can see,
the U.S. just tried to play chess with Iran's...
Like her mouth wasn't quite matching up with the words. And now we'll just...
nuclear program, but Iran grabbed the chessboard and smacked everyone upside the head with it. Their revenge move, it might have just broken the global order like it was made of dollar store glass. Picture it, the dead of night, explosions lighting up the sky like the world's worst fireworks show. The U.S. hit Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan, basically Iran's nuclear starter pack. Washington called it a clean...
Nobody talks like that. Nobody actually talks like that. Only like a computer program trying to be trendy would talk like that. That's the thing that I think is fucked up. This is a completely AI generated news website. And again, like I'm glad that it was as small as it is, because I was deeply concerned that it was going to be, you know, a few thousand subs in by the time that we got to it. 152, only put up 2 videos, and it's 3 weeks ago. So maybe they've stopped at this point, honestly. 3 weeks ago, they were consistent. This might have died. So this channel specifically is not the issue, but the idea that, again, yes, we did already know about this, but this is just like the first time that I have seen a totally organic, to me, completely AI news channel. And it just like really fucked me up. I asked my coworker Brian about it, and he was like, oh yeah, I know, that's like super weird. I'm like, okay, whatever, dude. This is really, really fucking weird. He just did not seem to really give a shit about it. But it disturbed me greatly. Let's see. Madar. Okay, there's one. Man. Do I want to talk about Sandwich? I got this whole Sandwich thing that I want to do. Man. I don't know if I have time for Sandwich. Guys, I'm on a full Sandwich. We're on full Sandwich. I was going to do that while I made the rub. All right, we're just gonna do we're gonna do Sandwich. We're gonna talk Sandwich. No, I don't want to rush this. I don't want to rush this, and I have to end this stream soon because I have to. My children are going to be up in 5 hours. I have to go to bed. Someone's going to be up in. I'm just kidding. Probably 6 hours. So I have to go to bed soon. Do I want to do Sandwich, or do I want to save it for next time? I have 2 different things that I want to do. Maybe I'll save it for next time. The Sandwich might fit better personal standards. All right. No, I think we're gonna. It's 12:15. By the time that I get to the end of this, we're gonna be done for. So, okay. So this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna do my closing segment with you guys, and then I'm gonna come back real soon, real soon, because I've got some delicious topics that I want to talk about already. Some personal responsibility stuff. I want to talk more about Palantir. I want to talk about Sandwich. I really got to talk about Sandwich. I'm like really excited for Sandwich. You guys give me a hashtag Sandwich. And so I'm gonna end with this, I think. Right? We talked about Red Bar. Red Bar's the new inspiration. He's the reason why I'm here. He's why I'm doing all this stuff. He is my favorite person. These fucking drops are just going to be the goddamn...
There's no such thing as favorite anymore. There's only now and more.
It's only now and more. Okay, that's Red Bar. That's Red Bar's voice. Again, these fucking drops are going to be the death of me. So we talked about Red Bar already, and I want to end by talking about the opposite side of that spectrum, right? And this is the other side of the why I'm here. I mentioned another man earlier by the name of Shane Powers. Shane Powers has been a fringe media figure for quite some time. 10 years ago, I discovered Shane Powers. I was exposed to Shane Powers through Tyler the Creator, right? Tyler the Creator was my favorite rapper at the time. He still might be my favorite rapper at the time, or right now. I'm not gonna lie. But he was doing a deal with a company called Dash Radio, and it was an app that people were buying into, and it was an online radio thing. So it like ran 24 hours a day, and there was all kinds of different stations, and they would just play different music and all kinds of stuff, and it was beautiful, right? Everybody loved it. One of the things they did was they had talk radio. They had a couple of different talk radio stations, and one of them was The Shane Show. So the way the Dash Media worked is that for talk shows, basically, is that Shane would do his show. He would do a 2-hour show in the morning at whatever time he came in. They would record it for 2 hours. It would be live also at that time. And then as soon as they were done, it would process, and then that show would loop every 2 hours for the rest of the day until he came in the next day and recorded, right? So then over the weekend they were playing like clips, and they were playing all of the episodes from that weekend over and over again, and they were playing things through, right? It was very cool, and I had just kind of started this job at Bennick. I hadn't worked there for that long, and so it was a great thing for me to use. It was an extra 2 hours, and he was political, right? This was like my very first politics thing. This was leading up to 2016, and so I'm like starting to get informed. Fuck Donald Trump. Hillary needs to win. The left is awesome. That's where my head is at, right? So I'm just looking, I'm begging for somebody to guide me in some type of direction for something. Shane Powers is extremely persuasive, super interactive with the audience. This is a very youth-focused thing that they're doing on Dash Radio, just the whole deal in general. There's a lot of young people working there. It's based around youth and young artists and young people and young stuff, right? So the vast, vast majority of the Shane Sir audience is youth. It's people between the age of like 15 and like 25 probably. That's like the bulk of that audience. Very impressionable, very convincible, very easy to sway and do whatever, right? And I'm not trying to like make anything up. This just, that is the reality, I think, of what that is, right? So I thought that Shane Powers was extremely intelligent. I thought he was like super fucking cool. Turns out to be a total fucking retard who fooled kids into thinking that he was correct about everything. And I remember thinking back, talking to Colin about it. He's talking about the Constitution. He's like, yeah, this is a living document. It changes all the time. It's like shit like this, right? Just horrific stuff that makes no fucking sense, right? At the time, very bought into it. I really enjoyed the show. I really, really loved it. Shane Powers was an ex-alcoholic, and he's like fighting to be sober all the time, and he smokes like 3 packs of cigarettes a day, and still has some pretty disgusting habits, and is like very not into drugs. And I was very into drugs at the time. Very, very into drugs. And Shane Powers talking about weed one day, and I don't remember exactly what he's saying. He's saying shit that wasn't true, right? And I was crazy into weed at the time. Still like weed, crazy into weed at the time. And so I'm hitting him up in the chat because you can like tweet him too. He's very interactive on Twitter. I'm tweeting him and like, yo, this is wrong. I can't believe you got this wrong. You got to fact check. You got to have somebody who fact checks, right? And at one point they did have a fact checker who just would kind of write in every day with like, yo, this is the shit that you got wrong, right? That was pretty cool. And eventually that person stopped doing that. So I wrote in Shane Powers because he wrote back to me and he's like, yo, that's crazy, whatever, right? Acknowledge that they got these things wrong. And so I wrote an email in, listen, here's the deal. I will take the time out of my day to fact check all the shit that you say. If you just say fact check, right? Just hit me with the word fact check, this phrase fact check when you're on the show, and I'll look up that thing. You don't have to stop. You don't have to worry about it. I'll look it up because I'm listening every day. When I'm at Bennick, I've got time, right? I'll just make a list of the things. When I get home, I'll look them up. I'll write an email. This before I had kids. It's just me and Jordan. I'm going to write an email. I'll send it off to you. Everything is going to be fucking sick. They accepted this, right? Shane Powers talks about it on the show. It's like, yo, we have a new fact checker. He doesn't use my name. Never does a full segment about it. Just alludes to the fact like, yo, we have a new fact checker, right? I'm like, yo, this is going to be fucking sick. This is going to be wild. It's going to be fucking lit, right? Around this same time, Shane Powers and his host, Chris Vanger, decide that they're going to break the record for the longest contiguous live stream radio broadcast ever, right? So it's like, I don't know, 2 or 3 days or something that they go for. I don't remember now. It doesn't really matter, right? In the course of this stream that they're doing, of this continuous live stream, they're talking about weed again. They're probably like, at least 24 hours into it. It's getting crazy. They're getting deep into it. And now he's doing the stream and he's talking about weed. And I'm getting fucking mad because I'm tweeting at him now, tweeting at him live. I'm like, you're getting this shit wrong. Not only are you getting it wrong, I gave you the information. Not only did I give you the information, I offered to give you any other information that you wanted, because this shit is so unacceptable that you would be saying things that aren't true. There are so many kids, this is my point in the first emails, like there's so many kids listening to you just like I am, and you're telling them shit that's wrong. You're saying shit that is incorrect about weed, about politics, about whatever, and that's a fucking problem. And that's part of why I agreed. It's because like, you're right, that is a problem. I was saying shit that's wrong, right? So this time comes out that they're doing the super duper crazy long live stream, and I'm tweeting at him, and I'm hate tweeting him, like what the fuck? I offered. I told you guys I'm hate tweeting. I'm tweeting in capitals. I'm mad. Right? He goes on the air. He comes back from a break, and he goes on the air, and he starts talking about me. He doesn't use my name, but he's like, yo, this guy was going to be the fact checker, and now he's screaming at me about weed. He's like, you obviously have problems with weed, and that's why you're saying this. That's what you're coming about. That's why you care so much, is because you're addicted to weed. You have a problem. This is crazy. Calls me out on air, live on air, calls me out, absolutely fucking in front of everybody, right? At the time, they had also developed this like community thing on the side that was just like this huge like rolling chat that wasn't for the show, but it was like a big group chat for these people. It was called the Shane 100. Right? I have that pin somewhere. There's a pin. There's a little pin that I have that says Shane 100. It came from there. It's somewhere. I'll find it. I'll show it to you guys. Anyway, I became part of the Shane 100, and I was like a super duper fan. So I'm in this back room chat thing, right? And we're like, Shane is the best. Everything is awesome. And I tap in that chat later that day, and people are talking shit. They're like, yo, what is up with that crazy weed guy? What is going on? I went home for lunch this day because I was like so upset that this had happened, right? That he had talked about me on the air, and then he had shit on me so bad, and I was so upset. And so I went home, and I'm fucking crying at lunch, home at lunch. Because I'm like 20 years old. This is 10 years ago. Crying at lunch, something that I'm looking up to, because he's like a hero to me at that time. Someone that I'm looking up to is fucking shitting on me on the air. I had gotten Colin into this because he's doing this big ass live stream, and so Colin is listening to it. And when I go pause, so Colin is listening to it, and Colin is like, so I know that he's hearing it too. And this guy's talking shit about me. He's talking about how I'm crazy, I'm addicted, I have a problem, like all this shit, right? And super fucking embarrassed. Super, super embarrassed and shamed. Embarrassed and ashamed, I stay home for the rest of the day. And when I went to work the next day, Colin is like, yo, what's up with that crazy weed guy? And so I'm like, I'm the crazy weed guy. And he's like, that's insane. So I tell him this whole story. Colin is obviously very upset. We're both agreed, like, that's fucked up that he would treat you like that. That's insane that he would conduct himself that way. I have obviously never forgotten about this. Never, ever, forever, never. Because that was 10 years ago, and I still so vividly remember that conversation, that interaction. And when Colin and I started this show, I was so hyper-focused on facts that it was kind of a problem sometimes. It was just like difficult for us to deal with. It was like almost crippling. And I heard that, and I heard the criticism from Colin and from other people, but I was never, nobody was like mad that I was getting too many facts, but just that it would like get bogged down sometimes. You know how I can be with information, right? I was never gonna do what Shane Powers did. I was never gonna lie to people on air. I was never going to be knowingly dishonest and spread disinformation because it was easier than me having to look it up. I was never going to refuse to interrupt my broadcast because I was so fucking busy that I couldn't find out if what I was saying was true. I was never going to shit on somebody on the air without them being there and make them feel like a fucking retard just like he did to me, because I was fucking 20 and I had never felt so bad in my whole fucking life in that moment. It was horrible the way that I felt. I will never mislead someone so lost and so in need of guidance, because I'd already communicated with them, like, this is where I'm at. I want to help with this. And like, to then treat somebody like that. This guy was in his 40s. He wasn't another youth. He was in his 40s. He was a grown fucking man. Youth shape the future of the country. So to not inform them of the true realities of their rights, their power when acting together, and the honest nature of power and those who currently control this country should be a fucking crime. And I'm here to counteract people like Shane Powers. Shane Powers doesn't have a fucking show anymore. For years, he shit on, I'll never have a podcast, I'll never do this. He has nothing now. He has nothing because he got fucking Trump derangement syndrome, and he went fucking crazy, and he just shit on people and just said wild shit for the last 5 years. He doesn't have an existence anymore on the internet because nobody fucking cares about him, because he's a piece of shit. Shane Powers is horrible. Fuck Shane Powers. Also, thank you even more than you could know, because I've never forgotten about that. I never will forget about that. And that will fuel me for the rest of my fucking life on this show. I will never live like that. I will never be that. So, that's my ending thought for this show. So fuck Shane Powers. Thank you even more. I want to thank everybody for being here. Absolutely everybody. I hope that you enjoyed this. I know that it was a little bit rough. There were some things to learn. There were a couple of bumps and bruises and whatever, but I think that it all turned out relatively okay in the end. I cannot appreciate you any more than I do. It is beyond too much to know that there was anybody that showed here, anybody who was waiting for me, anybody who was excited. Thank you, everybody. Seriously, thank you for being here. I will be back very, very soon, because I took to this way too easily. I will have a lot more bits. I know hopefully this was not as a waste. I had a lot of fun with it, with the rub thing. We're going to do more things like this. As stupid as it is, I think this is a good bit. I think it's a good time. And it's good to make me think on my feet, I think, to keep going. So I don't want to talk too much because I think that was a wonderful ending. I want to thank you guys one very last time for joining for the stream. I'll be back again very, very soon. I do not have a set schedule. I'm taking a lesson from Red Bar. I'm only going to stream when I have something to say. I'm going to be here Friday nights. It'll always be Friday nights. So that'll be consistent. Friday nights at 9 or before that. Between 8 and 9 will be the start. Depends on when the kids go down. But it's just going to be when I have enough. I don't want to feel pressured. I don't want to feel like I'm wasting it. I don't want to feel like I'm forcing it, because that was part of the deal before. I don't want to put myself on a timeline. I want to do what feels right. And that's what we're going to do. So thank you guys a million times over. I will see you very, very, very soon. I love you all. Keep your head up. Use that hate as fuel. Get better. Get the fuck after it. Fuck Shane Powers. Thank you guys. Have an amazing fucking weekend. I love you.